Chapter 2174. Junior Sister 2. Li Man Man was dissatisfied. She glanced sideways at Su Luo, arrogantly jabbing her fingers. So what about geniuses? How many geniuses have lost on their way forward? Just look at her current strength. Senior brother Luo Qing, you say, if we bring her to the inner magical beast zone like this, would she not become a burden and drag us down? Tell me. Luo Qing was helpless, glancing apologetically towards Su Luo. Su Luo's cold eyes sank slightly, and she glanced sideways at Li Man Man, but she did not make an effort to defend herself. Although she was only a 7-star commander rank on the surface, adding on her trump cards, even Big Sister Wei might not be a worthy opponent, let alone these few people here. Nonetheless, Su Luo abstained from arguing, because it was only her word. Anyway, she was already entering the magical beast zone. There would be plenty of opportunities in the future for her to show her strength. There was no rush to prove herself right now. Su Luo was no longer at the age where she would be provoked by a single word from someone. She had already learned what it meant to be calm and steady. Seeing Su Luo ignoring her, Li Man Man snorted and pointed at Tian Meng, saying, "Senior brother Tian, don't you think she is reckless? She even has a bet with Senior Sister Wu Yu. She even wanted to bet on a life-or-death battle against Senior Sister Wu Yu. You see, she actually wants to defeat Senior Sister Wu Yu." Tian Meng also frowned and glanced at Su Luo, giving his judgment in 4 words: overestimating your own strength. Li Man Man immediately lit up and continued chattering on. That's right. It doesn't matter if she dies by herself. But the most loathsome thing is that she actually used Senior Brother Luo as her wager. Her life has no value whether she is dead or alive. But Senior Brother Luo would have to defer to Senior Sister Wu Yu. There were reasons upon reasons, but this was actually what Li Man Man was most angry about. She had always been in love with Senior Brother Luo, admiring and worshipping him as her male idol. However, at the thought that Senior Brother Luo would be forced to become one of Fairy Wu Yu's people, Li Man Man wanted nothing more than to get up and punch Su Luo fiercely. Since this matter had been mentioned, Su Luo, at the very least, had to say, "I won't lose." "You won't lose?" Li Man Man pointed at Su Luo, sneered twice. "Ha, ha. You won't lose, but could Fairy Wu Yu lose? Look at yourself. You're only a 7-star commander rank." Su Luo carelessly swept a glance across the infuriated Li Man Man's companions, and slowly clenched her hand into a fist. "Even if I am a 7-star commander rank, you are still not a worthy opponent of this 7-star commander rank." "Aha!" Li Man Man laughed long and hard. She felt like she had encountered a madman. Then, she glared at Su Luo. "You idiotic lunatic. If you really condemn Senior Brother Luo to lose, I will definitely come after your life." Su Lu shrugged her shoulders and opened her arms. She was able to be promoted from 1-star commander rank to 7-star commander rank within a month. So why couldn't she promote another 5 stars again within a year? Nonetheless, this kind of matter was hard to clarify, so she couldn't be bothered to argue. It was just pointless to explain. Senior Brother Luo Qing came out again to smooth things over. Okay, stop arguing. Just ahead of us is the magical beast zone. All of you, save your breath and make preparations to battle. Senior Brother Luo Qing now felt extremely conflicted on how to deal with Su Luo. This 7-star commander rank was also the person whom Senior Brother Luo had handed to them and entrusted them to protect. It was absolutely unrealistic for her to go and fight. The magical beasts here could blow her away with just their farts. Therefore, Senior Brother Luo Qing decided that accommodating Su Wan, protecting her, and having her watch from the side was good enough. Along the way, Luo Qing the situation of the magical beast zone to Su Luo while he walked. The magical beast zone is very vast, accounting for half of the entire continent. It can be described as endless. Only the top 100 names on our dragon list have the right to enter. The people at the top of the dragon list can go deeper in. However, because we are not as strong and are lower on the list, we can only go to the outer circle. Fortunately, the poisonous serpent scorpion grass is located in the eastern outskirts, so we don't need to go too deep. But even in the outskirts, The presence of these magical beasts would still be terrifying for you. So stay close to us and don't get lost. Su Luo nodded indifferently. Tian Meng patted Su Luo on the shoulder. Don't be afraid. Since senior brother Luo has entrusted us with protecting you. Even if we aren't willing to, we won't abandon you alone. Su Luo. Li Man sneered several times. What's the point of protecting her? It's better to leave her to be eaten by magical beasts. Just seeing her is annoying. Su Luo. Senior brother Luo Qing glared helplessly at Li Man. How can you speak like this? If she is gone, who will compete with Fairy Wu Yu in a year's time? Let's not mention that a year later, even right after we go back, within minutes, senior brother Luo would have to pack his bags and go to Fairy Wu Yu's pavilion. Li Man's face was stunned in panic. She turned her head and glared at Su Luo, pointing towards her with trembling fingers. Her body trembled in rage as she struggled to find the right words. You! Li Man took a deep breath, and then another deep breath, to restrain herself from charging up and smashing Su Luo's head. It took her a long time to calm down. She gave Su Luo a vicious look, but she still had no choice but to walk behind Su Luo. When she passed by her shoulder, she angrily spat out a sentence. Don't you dare to die. Her senior brother Luo's purity was currently in the hands of this vile girl. It was really upsetting to think about. Li Man couldn't cry even if she wanted to. For a while, everyone looked at Su Luo with very odd gazes. This kind of look Su Luo was very familiar with. Wasn't this the exact same facial expression as people looking at rare pandas? Moreover, these four people surrounded her completely from the front, back, left, and right, for fear that with a single misstep, she would be carried away and eaten away by the magical beasts. They protected her with great caution. The veins in Su Luo's forehead twitched. All of her words and emotions in the end turned into a long sigh. They would soon reach the magical beast zone. Just as the deputy team leader Luo Qing had said, the area here was vast and endless as far as the eye could see. The ancient woods were huge and tall. The grass was lush green, filled with very vibrant life. This was the paradise of magical beasts, the place where humans stopped. Luo Qing instructed in a low voice. We will mainly look for herbs this time and hunt magical beasts on the side. Luo Qing glanced at Su Luo and said with a sigh in his voice, try your best not to alarm the magical beasts. If we encounter danger, it wouldn't be too big of a problem. It's just that Su Luo. So if you don't need to make a move, then do your best to refrain from making any. Li Man could no longer be bothered to talk to Su Luo because she had already been angered to the point of feeling numb, and said faintly, I know. Such a burn. Otherwise, we would even be able to earn a great deal of points. Su Luo spread her hands. If you want to fight the magical beasts, then fight the magical beasts. Don't mind me. Currently, she was in a state of poverty and would love to be able to get more points by way of hunting. Li Man sneered, a tiny 7-star commander rank still wants to kill magical beasts? In this place, even a little magical rabbit beast could crush you to death. She wore a mocking expression on her face, clearly treating Su Luo's words as nothing. Chapter 2175, Junior Sister 3 Look! Foaming Wolf! Tian Meng yelled out. The foaming wolf was great at speed with considerable strength as well. However, for Su Luo, it was a small piece of cake, and so Su Luo intended to go forwards. However, before she could move, they shouted, Stop right there! Don't move! The other four people stopped in unison. Su Luo stopped at once, gazing in silence at her four companions who acted more like her enemies. Li Man rebuked, Hey, you're such a burden. Could you stir up less trouble? What do you want to do by going forwards? You still want us to waste more time and energy saving you? As she said this, Li Man shot Su Luo a sharp look, then, bumping in her shoulder as she passed by, brandished her icy sword and flew towards the foaming wolf to slay it. Su Luo, being very tolerant, gently touched her nose. Senior brother Luo Qing was afraid that Su Luo would have grievances in her heart, and so he patted her shoulder. Man has a very straightforward temperament, and she speaks without thinking, but there is no malice in her heart. So please do not hold it against her. Su Luo smiled. This was just a one-time mission anyways. Everyone would return to being strangers when they went back, so what was there to hold against them? Tian Mang also added. In fact, what Junior Sister said makes sense. Last time you stirred up trouble, so it's better for you to just stay still. Deputy Leader, you can be responsible for her. You better watch her closely. With that said, Tian Mang flew to Li Man's side to help fight the Feng Ing Wolf. Senior brother Luo Qing and Su Yin remained behind. One stood to the left and the other to the right, with Su Luo in the middle. Su touched her nose and smiled in bitterness as she shook her head. With the help of Tian Mang, the Feng Ing Wolf was soon overwhelmed, and it didn't last long before Li Man stabbed its neck with her sword. Then it fell to the ground. Li Man looked back, giving Su Luo a triumphant look and raising her chin in pride. Su Luo smiled bitterly. The strength of a one-star saint rank against the Feng Ing Wolf. Even a single person could have ended the battle faster, but this girl was lacking in sword accuracy and footstep maneuverability, causing the fight to be dragged out for this long. However, seeing Li Man as proud as a peacock showing off its tail feathers, Su Luo didn't break her delusions of triumph. At this time, Li Man ran over to senior brother Luo Qing, pulling on his sleeve, and said with arrogance, Senior brother Luo Qing, quickly take out your tablet. The Feng Ing Wolf's worth is equal to 1,000 points. Silver tablet? Su Luo swept a glance towards Li Man. Li Man touched her chin with an arrogant gesture. What's wrong with the silver tablet? For all of the candidates, the names ranked 50 and below all have silver tablets. And don't look down on silver tablets. These collect double the points. Oh. Su Luo nodded. It appeared that, setting aside the lowest category of bronze tablets, the silver tablet's use was very common, as all the people below the top 50 names on the dragon list were using it. That was true. If the gold tablet was so easy to get, then wouldn't they all double their points extremely quickly? And wouldn't that cause inflation? Su Luo's thoughts were like this. However, when she saw Li Man preparing to take the silver tablet to collect points, an idea suddenly flashed through her thoughts. After buying food for her spirit pets, she was left in extreme poverty. The point value of the magical beasts here was not small, so perhaps she could work something out. And so, Su Luo called out to Li Man, Wait, what is it? Li Man impatiently glared at Su Luo. The silver tablet in your hand can only double the points. Su Luo went straight to the point, but I have a diamond tablet that can multiply them by 5. Upon hearing Su Luo's words, Li Man was at first stupefied, but then clutched her sides and bent over laughing until tears rolled out. Not only Li Man, but even senior brother Luo Qing, Tian Mang, and the one with the least sense of presence, Su Yin, had the corners of their mouth curled up into a scoff, as if this was the most funny joke. Su Luo frowned. What are you all laughing at? What I'm saying is true. It is more real than authentic gold, okay. Ha! Li Man laughed and cried out, Diamond tablet? Diamond tablet? Do you know how difficult it is to obtain a diamond tablet? Even the top 10 elders only use jade tablets, and you actually have a diamond tablet? Su Luo took out the diamond tablet and waved it in front of Li Man. Li Man sneered with no ceremony. Don't wave it around. Fake is fake. Yet you still want to trick us? Some time ago, there were many fake diamond tablets on the market, and the third elder already made an appearance to clear it all up. All of the diamond tablets are fake. They do not exist. It was the third elder again. She was essentially dismissing Su Luo's special identity. However, at this time, Su Luo still remained calm. She was not angry or upset at all, instead smiling faintly. This Feng Ing Wolf is worth 1,000 points, and with the silver tablet, it is 2,000? Of course! Li Man interjected. Su Luo smirked and crouched in front of the body of the Feng Ing Wolf, flashing the diamond tablet above its head as if scanning a barcode. Ding! With a soft sound, the points had already been added into Su Luo's diamond tablet. Hey, what do you think you were doing? I killed the Feng Ing Wolf. Those points are for the whole team, and you actually dare to steal them in such a blatant way? Li Man Man was so angry that she almost jumped on her feet. Senior brother Luo Qing also glared at Su Luo in disdain. Seeing this, Su Luo's smile remained unwavered, and she walked up to the senior brother Luo Qing and swept towards his silver tablet, transferring 2,000 points over. Su Luo curled her lips. Check and see if there are any points missing. Li Man Man rushed to grab the silver tablet. Sure enough, 2,000 points had been added. Senior brother Luo Qing's silver tablet was the entire team's account. In order to be fair, when completing missions in the Magical Beast Zone, points were collected into this silver tablet and distributed upon returning back to their residences. You? Li Man Man stared suspiciously at Su Luo's diamond tablet, frowning. Exactly what are you playing at? I told you all that this is a diamond tablet, which multiplies the points by 5 times. I'll give you all 2,000 points, and I can still profit 3,000. Su Luo waved the diamond tablet, then put it back into her sleeve. Her other companions looked at each other. Could this be real? Fake. It must be fake. Li Man Man was the first to contradict, and soon found a point to support her argument. I heard that some of those fake diamond tablets were altered from bronze tablets, and some were altered from actual silver tablets. As for the gold tablets, those only belonged to the top 50 on the dragon list, and since ordinary people could not reach this level, so there was nobody who would use them as fakes. But then, what does she hope to achieve? Tian Meng couldn't understand this. If it were a bronze tablet, isn't that just slapping her own face swollen? If so, that's just elevating oneself up at one's own cost. If it were a silver tablet, she would be making things complicated for no reason. Why go through all that trouble? The 4 people huddled into a small circle, muttering and discussing amongst themselves, but no conclusions seemed to be achieved. Chapter 2176, Junior Sister 4. However, the points had indeed been returned to the silver tablet, so under the suggestion of senior brother Luo Qing, they all decided to let Su Luo off this time. When Su Luo heard the result of the discussion, she immediately became happy. This was like a gift of charcoal in the cold one. She was extremely poor, very far from being able to buy food or clothing, and looking at the shiny diamond tablet, she had only gained 3,000 points from just now. However, this was very good. After some time, she could earn many points. Su Luo's poor companions didn't even know that most of the rewards from the magical beasts they had so diligently fought had all been taken by her. And the best thing about what Su Luo was doing here was that she reaped the benefits without hurting anyone. Although they didn't believe it, it was better this way, because then Su Luo wouldn't have any further pressure when she collected points. Su Luo simply went with this small team that distributed points amongst themselves, and she was very comfortable with it. Of course, she blocked out Li Man Man's ramblings and chatterings, so they didn't affect her at all. As time passed by, and they traveled deeper into the magical beast zone, the magical beasts that appeared were no longer small like the Feng wolf. At that moment, senior brother Luo Qing stopped in his tracks. His face froze, and he said in a low voice, "Stay alert." This was to indicate there was danger approaching, and so the entire team, including Su Luo, followed close and stayed on guard. Li Man Man shot a glance at Su Luo, complaining in her heart. Su Luo had the same alertness as the dead. All along the way, she had been the most idle. Just then, 5 ghost-faced demonic leopards appeared right in front of them. Ugh! They're actually ghost-faced demonic leopards. They're extremely difficult to kill. Most of all, the leader. This means senior brother Luo Qing will have to fight. Tian Meng struck the ground. Before, 2 people were tasked to go and fight, while the other 2 stayed behind to guard Su Luo. Now, with 5 ghost-faced demonic leopards, they all had to fight, and since there were only 4 people, there would be 1 extra leopard with no one to deal with it. Su Luo stared at the ghost-faced demonic leopards ahead and said with eagerness, "You can hand one to me." For a moment, all of their gazes were on Su Luo. Li Man Man sneered, Tian Meng shook his head, Suyin frowned, and the senior brother Luo Qing simply waved. "No, you can't go fight." "Why?" Su Luo wanted to take this opportunity to erase her reputation of being an invalid waste. Because you're only a tiny 7-star commander rank, and you're overestimating yourself. Li Man Man snorted at Su Luo. Su Luo knew how to deal with Li Man Man, so she smirked. Then, do you want me to go fight the ghost-faced demonic leopard right now? Li Man Man clenched her fists, her face fierce. If you're going to die, don't drag senior brother Luo down with you. Before she even finished her sentence, Li Man Man had already lifted Su Luo and stuffed her into a nearby green and leafy 1,000-year-old tree. Upon throwing Su Luo there, as if she were a burden, Li Man Man warned her with a cold voice. Remember, just stay here for me. Don't even stick your head out. Facing Su Luo's big, clear eyes, Li Man Man's anger carried a trace of helplessness. She took out a handful of fragrant pine nuts and stuffed them all into Su Luo's hands, warned her in anger. Eat those for me. Don't make a single sound. Then, Li Man Man turned around and flew towards the ghost-faced demonic leopards. Su Luo looked at the pile of pitch-black pine nuts in her hand, and she felt touched at that moment. Who knew that this Li Man Man wasn't such a bad person after all? Su Luo slowly and leisurely ate the pine nuts, swaying her legs as she watched the battle below. She didn't understand why senior brother Luo had bothered to be the sponsor of such a small team. It was clear that their strength was far below his. As Su Luo ate, she began thinking, although she was only a 7-star commander rank, but if she used her diamond tablet, she could outrank an entire team by herself. Senior brother Luo Qing's movements were steady and stable. However, he was lacking in agility and flexibility. If he could make more unpredictable attacks, the ghost-faced demonic leopard's leader would have been cut down by his blade already. Tian Mang, alas, he truly lived up to his name as a simple-minded person who relied on brute force. He, similarly to Big Sister Wei, charged forwards to fight in a rush, but wasn't coordinated. Could the thickness of the ghost-faced demonic leopard's skin be compared to a human's? He even charged at it head-on. Sigh. Su Luo turned her head and looked away. If one had to name one skillful person in this battle, then it would be the one without any sense of presence, appearing as frail as a breeze, Suyin. Suyin was not to be looked down on, even though his build was only average and he didn't talk much. When it was needed most, he could be flexible and agile, jumping up and down and dodging left to right. The ghost-faced demonic leopard was soon worn out by his movements. As for Li Man Man, this girl, alas, Su Luo really wanted to throw aside the pine nuts in her hand to help her fight the ghost-faced demonic leopard. Had she not realized this was a battle of life and death, why was she using such flowery skills? Could this lady use some proper strength for once? At this point, Li Man Man had already put away her sword and began to call upon her skill. Her skill was cherry blossoms. A light orb condensed in front of her chest, and she released it in the direction of the ghost-faced demonic leopard. The orb burst open upon contact, and cherry blossoms sprinkled all over the leopard. The cherry blossoms looked like snowflakes scattering about, colorful, dreamy, and beautiful, a wonderful sight to behold. But where was any of its lethality? It had taken so much spiritual strength to summon so many cherry blossom petals. But with a mere turn of its body, the ghost-faced demonic leopard had ripped them all to shreds. The only thing damaged was the leopard's pride. In Su Luo's opinion, the wound was even smaller than a needle prick. Su Luo almost spat out blood. Exactly where had senior brother Luo found this team? Could this group really protect her all the way to the poisonous scorpion grass? The more Su Luo watched, the more hurt she felt. And so she couldn't hold it in and pointed out to Li Man Man, hey, can't you just coalesce the cherry blossom petals into a blade? Then you would actually be able to do some damage, okay? However, Su Luo's kind intentions weren't received well. That many pine nuts can't stuff your mouth? Shut up! Li Man Man shouted at Su Luo. She already had her hands full fighting to the death, and now that abominable little commander rank was bothering her even more. And so, the Li Man Man who rejected Su Luo's advice was soon being chased down by the ghost-faced demonic leopard, and she ran and stumbled for her life, full of embarrassment. Su Luo continued to leisurely munch on the pine nuts as she watched the battle with a smug face. Of the four, Li Man Man was the only one struggling. If she had fought them by herself, she would have already lost. Su Luo watched Li Man Man being chased down the mountainside with the ghost-faced demonic leopard close behind her, and she couldn't help but sigh. Chapter 2177. Junior Sister 5? Yes, smashing. As in the smashing done with a club. You have to cut, not smash it, girl. Su Luo cover her face. Who knew if it was because of the ghost-faced demonic leopard's bad luck? But as the blade spun, it actually stabbed straight into the leopard's nose, spraying blood everywhere. Li Man Man was ecstatic in her heart, but she still turned to shout at Su Luo, "I know how to cut. Stop meddling in other people's business." Su Luo interjected noisily again. Its weak point is in its jaw. The skin elsewhere is thicker and is difficult to pierce through. Li Man Man was tempted to say back to her, "I am not going to stab its jaw." But the angry, ghost-faced, demonic leopard suddenly leaped from its four legs, suddenly pouncing fiercely towards Li Man Man. Its giant paws were powerful. If the paws landed on her, Li Man Man would quickly turn into a pile of mush. In a desperate situation, Li Man Man gathered the cherry blossom petals into a 3-meter-long spear and stabbed it straight towards the ghost-faced, demonic leopard's jaw. Poochie! With a light sound, the ghost-faced demonic leopard's jaw was viciously pierced by the spear, lifting its entire jaw along with its body up high, as if supported by a lever. Clap, 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 Su Luo was applauding. Li Man Man hummed lightly and let go, and the ghost-faced demonic leopard fell to the ground with a bang, leaving a large crater. "I suppose you had a lucky guess." Li Man Man still gave Su Luo an attitude, but it was much better than before when she had been jumping around like a thunderstorm. "It was not a lucky guess. I could see it," Su Luo said with a smile. "Who would believe that?" Li Man Man glared at Su Luo. Su Luo shrugged helplessly, then slid to the ground. First, she took the points from the ghost-faced, demonic leopards, a good 10,000 in total. In other words, each leopard was originally worth 2,000 points. With a total of 5 ghost-faced, demonic leopards, Su Luo instantly accumulated 50,000 points with her diamond tablet. With a smile in her eyes, she was extremely pleased. She still had to transfer 20,000 points to senior brother Luo Qing's account. She had eaten a nice meal of roasted pine nuts while leisurely watching a fun show, and just like this, 30,000 points were automatically sent to her account. What would be better than that? Su Luo thought with joy. Li Man Man, suspicious, quickly walked over and pulled Tian Mang to one side. "Look how happy she is. Does she really have a diamond tablet?" Tian Mang scratched at his hair and frowned. Li Man Man again said in denial, "Impossible. She's just a 7-star commander rank. Is the city lord blind? Why would he treat her so differently?" The honest Tian Mang said bluntly, "Doesn't Brother Luo also treat her differently? Is Brother Luo blind as well?" Li Man Man was so angry that she slapped Tian Mang on the head. Did he really have to mention this as well? Tian Mang unhappily rubbed the back of his head and grimaced. "I see you are the one who is blind. Su Luo obviously has a very good appearance, very good looking. With this trait, why can't she win the favor of even the city lord?" Although Li Man Man's face was still angry, in her heart, she was starting to believe it bit by bit. As a result, the gaze with which she looked at Su Luo became more and more puzzled and confused. "Hey!" Li Man Man walked up to Su Luo. Su Luo smiled faintly. "Do you really have a diamond tablet?" Li Man Man demanded in a condescending manner. Although she tried to put on a high and mighty expression, the curiosity in her eyes gave away her eagerness. Chapter 2178. Triumphant One. "Take it out so I can take a look." Li Man Man had one hand on her waist, the other stretched out to Su Luo demandingly. Su Luo glanced at Li Man Man, then turned and walked away. "Hey, you stop right there?" Li Man Man exclaimed. She said to Su Luo, "What is this attitude? I'm just asking you to take out the diamond tablet to see. What's the big deal about it?" "The city lord's diamond tablet. If this isn't that big of a deal, then what is a big deal?" Su Luo played with the diamond tablet, Her eyes half-squinted cunningly, like a fox, saying, "Such a precious treasure. Not asking you to kneel down to receive, it is already letting you off lightly." "You!" Li Man Man huffed and glared at Su Luo, and then she turned to leave. She couldn't even take a look at it. Anyways, it didn't matter, because it was all fake. Fake! Ignoring Li Man Man, Su Luo was just as unbothered as before. This detachment earned her countless thumbs-ups from senior brother Luo Qing. And so, they kept traveling for the next 3 days. Senior brother Luo Qing was squinting at the map and frowning. 5 kilometers ahead, we will enter the Netherworld White Tiger's territory. Not only is the Netherworld White Tiger King's strength formidable, they're also numerous. We only have 5, for people, so they will be quite difficult to deal with. The deputy leader's eyes flashed with worry. But this is the only way to pass through this area by the cliffs of the eastern region, so we cannot go around it. Everyone should tread as lightly as possible. We must absolutely not disturb them, so that they won't bother us. Li Man Man glared at Su Luo and declared, "The rest of us will be okay. She is the only one who is weak and slow, so there's a good chance she'll get caught by the Netherworld White Tigers. She might even bring harm to the rest of the group. If we had known this earlier, we should have just left her back inside the city." And so, after discussing amongst themselves, Tian Mang was assigned to protect Su Luo while the other 3 were left to fend for themselves. The mountains were dark. Into the darkness they went. The next 100 miles all belonged to the Netherworld White Tigers. Roar! An earth-shattering roar echoed from the forest, scattering all the birds and making the wild animals scurry away. Senior brother Luo Qing became pale, and his expression soured. "This isn't good. We're about to run into a group of Netherworld White Tigers." Usually most Netherworld White Tigers hunted alone, and it was very rare that they would gather in a group like today. It was just their poor luck. "Run quickly! Run, run, run!" Senior brother Luo Qing cried out, motioning for the team to flee. Upon facing such a large foe, the entire group became extremely tense. As everyone went on ahead, Su Luo smirked and headed instead towards the group of Netherworld White Tigers. There were 7 Netherworld White Tigers. Senior brother Luo Qing sprinted along and had covered 5-1 in no time, but Li Man Man suddenly yelled, "This is bad! We lost that stupid girl!" Li Man Man looked left and right, but couldn't find Su Luo, so she became very anxious. Senior brother Luo Qing also looked around, and indeed, she was gone. All 3 of them turned their attention to Tian Mang, who uncomfortable fidgeted. I remember clearly taking her. Everyone looked at Tian Mang's right hand. At that moment, he really did have Su Luo on his back. "You!" Li Man Man exclaimed. She angrily pointed at Tian Mang, but no words came out. Then, she turned and kept on running. Su Luo's death would not be a pity, but if she died, brother Luo would submit to Fairy Wu Yu. This could absolutely not happen. Li Man Man ran fast, faster than when the Netherworld White Tigers chased her. Senior brother Luo Qing caught up with Li Man Man in the blink of an eye, and remembering what senior brother Luo had cautioned him about, only said, "I'm also leaving. You all are on your own." Then he flew away in pursuit. Returning would most likely mean a death sentence. He couldn't force his brothers and sisters to make this decision, so he could only choose for himself. Suyin quietly followed senior brother Luo Qing. Tian Mang angrily stared at the burden on his back. It would be really troublesome to run quickly with this. But when he caught up, he saw all the others standing stupefied. Scratching his head, Tian Mang asked, "What's with you all? Were you struck by lightning? Why are you all standing here like a bunch of logs? Why don't you go up and fight?" Li Man Man turned to look at Tian Mang, her eyes still consumed with disbelief, and then she quietly turned back to stare at Su Luo. She pointed a finger towards Su Luo and said nothing more. Su Luo was running a one-man show. Light as the wind, she flew like a butterfly amongst the Netherworld White Tigers, her gleaming afterimage trailing behind her. She was so fast that she could not be seen by the naked eye. The Cheng-Ying sword in hand, she swung in a wide arc at the Netherworld White Tigers. They seemed to be standing there waiting to be slaughtered, and their bodies soon erupted with blood everywhere. Su Luo saw the blood flying, so she dodged and rolled out of the way towards the next netherworld white tiger. Each tiger she reached simply fell to the ground, eyes still wide open in shock. Su Luo stood up and dodged the attack of the second netherworld white tiger. At the same time, she turned around mid-air, and with the Cheng-Ing sword in hand, stabbed the still-roaring third tiger. The Cheng-Ing sword was so sharp, it sliced the netherworld white tiger's body cleanly in half from the throat to the heart. The poor third netherworld white tiger, it couldn't even roar before it was slain. At the same time, Su Luo's petite and slender body again turned mid-air, dodging the attack of the second netherworld white tiger before rushing to the fourth. Just as the fourth netherworld white tiger attacked Su Luo, she teleported away and disappeared in an instant. And so, the poor fourth and second netherworld white tigers, boom! The loud noise deafened the two netherworld white tigers. Their heads were practically being smashed together. As they were still stunned and dizzy, Su Luo had already rushed over and cut down the other two tigers with her Cheng-Ing sword. There were only 4 netherworld white tigers left. But Su Luo was becoming more excited. She burst straight forward. The 4 netherworld white tigers also rushed towards Su Luo angrily. Just a short distance away, Su Luo disappeared again. When she reappeared, her back was pressed to the ground, and she was lying in ambush underneath one of the netherworld white tigers. Rip, as the Cheng-Ing sword couldn't be used, Su Luo had already switched to the Yanhua dagger. Yanhua's dagger was infused with the raging fire of the fallen Red Lotus. These two together as one made an extremely powerful combination. Su Luo brutally cut through the chest all the way to the netherworld white tiger's abdomen. Chapter 2179 Triumphant 2. The internal organs rolled to the ground, while Su Luo had already shot herself back up and was riding on the 6th netherworld white tiger before it could even react. With a violent slash, Su Luo had sliced its neck open. Thud! The netherworld white tiger's neck was ripped open by the dagger and rolled onto the ground, spilling blood everywhere. The remaining 2 netherworld white tigers were now trembling in fear. Then they turned and ran in the opposite direction, sobbing as they fled. They had been terrorizing this region for so long, but they had never encountered such a ferocious female demon. How frightening! Su Luo wiped away the fresh blood splashed on her face, then threw the dagger, carrying the flames of the fallen Red Lotus, towards one of the running netherworld white tigers. Su Luo's calculations were precise, so she hit the target right on. The dagger went all the way in. Moreover, because the dagger was infused with flames of the fallen Red Lotus, when it made contact, the flame leapt all around the entire body of the netherworld white tiger, and soon the tiger was scorched from the inside out, emitting wisps of white smoke, its huge body trembling and spasming on the ground. The last remaining netherworld white tiger. How could Su Luo let it go? She teleported and then teleported again, and Su Luo soon stood on the tiger that had thought it escaped and threw a long vine at it. The vine rushed through the netherworld white tiger's snout, piercing through its mouth, and tied a knot. On the netherworld white tiger, she actually put on a nose muzzle like one would do to an old bull in the field. What? At this moment, Li Man's entire body was stunned, her mind in serious conflict, and she could only stare wide-eyed at Su Luo as if she was looking at a possessed demon. Was this not a little too much of an exaggeration? Li Man was stupefied. She couldn't take her astonished gaze away from Su Luo. Then, she reached out and grabbed senior brother Luo Qing, whispering, "Have my eyes deceived me? Did that really just happen?" Senior brother Luo Qing had a complicated expression. He looked in silence at Su Luo and shook his head. No. Then am I dreaming now? Senior brother Luo Qing, did we just witness that trash Su Luo show off godly strength? Li Man turned to look at her senior brother Luo Qing, wanting to cry. Senior brother Luo Qing gently patted her head. He understood how Li Man was feeling at the moment, so he spoke slowly. "You aren't dreaming. Everything you just saw is real." But she's only a 7-star commander rank. How could a 7-star commander rank be stronger than you? Li Man Man couldn't accept that this was true. She could recall in shame how bad she had treated Su Luo. She wanted to bury her head in the sand. It was so embarrassing. Li Man Man did not bury her head in the sand, but in a senior brother, Luo Qing's chest. Oh, she didn't have the face to see anyone right now. As her companion stood frozen on the spot, what was Su Luo doing now? She was now squatting on the ground, collecting the points for each fallen tiger. As she swiped her diamond token, her mood improved bit by bit. Oh my, what a wonderful harvest! The Netherworld white tigers were each worth 3,000 points, so with Su Luo's diamond token, they added up to 15,000. A total of 8. Oh no, the one left alive didn't count. In total there were 7. And 105,000 points were in Su Luo's hands. After collecting her points, Su Luo grabbed one of the Netherworld white tigers next to her and waved it around, trying to grab the attention of the senior brothers and senior sister in front of her. Seeing the stupefied figures, Su Luo smiled cheekily. What are you doing? Are you all frozen? Su Luo, you. Tian Mang, as straightforward as ever, began. I've offended you before. Please don't take it to heart. I've always had this temper. I can't hold back my words. Su Luo waved her hand. I don't blame you. What's the hurry? Senior brother Luo Qing also smiled and said, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. I've never given you a single chance to prove yourself, and as a deputy leader, I am in fact the one to blame. Su Luo smiled again, shaking her head. Deputy leader, it was because you were trying to protect me, so what is there to blame? Su Yin cupped his fist towards Su Luo and said nothing, as silent as ever. Once everyone had expressed their thoughts, it was now Li Man Man's turn. Li Man Man squirmed, her fists by her sides clenching and unclenching repeatedly. Su Luo didn't wait for her to speak and broke the silence. Senior brother Luo Qing, the points? Su Luo waved the diamond token in her hands. You are the one who killed all the Netherworld white tigers, so it is only right these points belong to you. There is no need to distribute them. Senior brother Luo Qing spoke, waving his hands. In reality, all they had been doing at the time was flee, so they had no rights to any of these points. If it weren't for Su Luo stepping in and defeating the tigers, they would have been in great danger. There was really no point in distributing the points. Then, I suppose I'll have to keep all of them. Su Luo hadn't planned to share the points in the first place, so she responded with satisfaction. What are you keeping this Netherland white tiger for? Senior brother Luo Qing asked Su Luo with curiosity. The tigers were arrogant and wild beasts that were difficult to tame. And yet, one of them had been caught by Su Luo, who roped it by its nose and led it around like an old cow. Su Luo hopped onto the back of the Netherworld white tiger. Then, patting its back, she told senior brother Luo Qing with a grin, obviously, it is so that I can use it as a mount. Well, everyone was speechless. Su Luo swept her gaze onto Li Man Man's face, who subconsciously avoided her eyes. Li Man Man thought of herself jumping up and down like a clown, her face red with shame. She stomped her feet and glared with anger at Su Luo. If you were so powerful, why did you lie to us before? You tell me, what did I ever lie to you about? Su Lu looked at her. Li Man Man was speechless for a moment, but soon thought, you could have shown us your own strength. Su Luo threw up her hands helplessly. Weren't you the one who told me to just watch the fight while eating pine nuts? You lied to us that you were only a 7-star commander rank. Li Man Man complained, but I really am a 7-star commander rank. Su Luo countered with an innocent look. Li Man Man was frantic, angry, depressed. You think you're so good, huh? Li Man Man furiously huffed and turned her back. Is it bad that I'm so good? The more powerful I am, the more I can help your senior brother Luo. So isn't this a good thing? Su Luo said with a smile. When Li Man Man thought about it, it was indeed, as she said, the more powerful she was, the better. I'll let you go this time. Just mark my words. Li Man Man again was quick to throw harsh words at Su Luo. Chapter 2180. Life and Death 1. The idiom about how 3 women were enough for a drama needed no mention here. These 2 women were enough to perform an entire play on their own one. After revealing her true strength, Su Luo had originally planned to take a seat back and enjoy the show. However, it was no longer possible for her to do so anymore. Not only that, she had now been designated the team's main firepower, who said that the most capable ones had to do the most work. Senior brother Luo Qing. The demonic tarantulas on the left side draw 3 of them away. Tian Meng. Don't randomly wander about everywhere and pay attention. Su Yin. Go into stealth mode and go over there. Oh, and take care of 2 of the demonic tarantulas on the left. Finish them up within 3 minutes. Also, Li Man, why the hell are you pursuing something wasteful as aesthetic appeal when you should be condensing your blade? You can't even save your own life like that. After revealing her true strength, Su Luo had gradually turned into a field commander and turned into the group's core. Even senior brother Luo Qing was pushed to take a step back in the leadership position. However, Su Luo indeed possessed the skills for the role. Under her command, the Xiao Luo team lunged towards the demonic beasts with double the efficiency, killing them so fast that everyone's waist pouches had bulged out from the loot. Regarding the distribution of points, Su Luo naturally took her share first. Li Man accidentally swept a look across Su Luo's diamond token. Upon doing so, her legs instantly turned soft as shock flashed past her eyes. Every single demonic tarantula in this group only had 3,000 points, yet a value of 15,000 was floating above Su Luo's diamond token. After seeing this, what else was there that Li Man did not understand? She took a step back and another before finally positioning herself beside Deputy Leader Luo Qing. Her blank eyes continued to remain on Su Luo, yet her words were said to the team leader. That diamond token, is it for real? An absent-minded look had appeared on her face like she was dreaming. Too inconceivable. Su Luo, the person that Li Man had held in disdain before, was not only at the 7th star of the commander rank which exceeded everyone within the squadron, but she also had a genuine diamond token. Senior brother Luo Qing choked on the water he had just taken a sip of. Cough, cough, what did you say? Grabbing hold of the deputy leader Luo Qing's sleeve, Li Man's face was overwhelmed with emotions as she exclaimed, "It's real. Her token is real. She really has 5 times the score." From her earlier discussion with Tian Meng, she had concluded that Su Luo was just making things more complicated with extra things. Who would have known that she had earned more than the entire squadron combined just with a simple and easy capture of one demonic tarantula's brain? One could really die from anger by comparing oneself to someone else. Senior brother Luo Qing looked speechlessly at Su Luo. Finally, with a sigh, he gave Li Man's shoulder a pat. She's a person both senior brother Luo and the city lord treats favorably. You better not target her in the future. Okay. Li Man snorted twice in response. But I still hate her. Senior brother Luo's innocence still rests on her shoulders. After this revelation, despite not showing any warmth towards Su Luo, Li Man didn't continue ridiculing the former, allowing an unprecedented harmony to form within the squadron. 5 days later, they'd finally arrived at their destination. Right before them was a perfectly straight cliff where the poisonous serpent-scorpion grass grew from. Nevertheless, Su Luo didn't rush up impulsively. Every spirit grass had a demonic beast guardian. At the moment, a 1,000-eyed condor was flying overhead, marking its territory. Like a tiger watching its prey, the 1,000-eyed condor shot a hostile glare towards this group of humans that had just arrived. "How about I go up?" Senior brother Luo Qing asked after seeing Su Luo's lack of movement. However, a deep crease appeared on Su Luo's forehead as she shook her head slowly. "It's still not the time yet." "Why? That condor isn't that formidable, right?" Senior brother Luo Qing should be able to deal with it, Li Man said complacently. However, Su Luo proceeded to shake her head again. "There are others here. We won't be able to survive a pincer attack." "Others?" Li Man's eyes were filled with doubt. "Where?" Just when Su Luo finished her reply, A bout of crazed laughter instantly rang out from the undergrowth before them. "Ha, not bad. You wretched girl. You even managed to see through this." As those words rang out, a group of 4 people appeared before Su Luo. Because this place rarely frequented people year-round, wild grass grew haphazardly across the entire area to heights that towered even people. Therefore, it was no wonder why those people were able to conceal themselves without being discovered by Luo Qing. Having just entered Upstream Mountain, the number of people that Su Luo had bumped across with did not exceed 10. However, she had exchanged greetings with 3 out of the 4 people that had just appeared before. Aren't those 3 people part of the group of men that follows Fairy Wu Yu around all day? Li Man Man pointed towards the group of people that appeared. That's Yin Xiao. Although he's ranked at only 95th place on the dragon list, Fairy Wu Yu still dotes on him for his good looks. The 2 dark-skinned people are called Mo Zhe and Mo Li. They're twins and are ranked 87th and 88th on the dragon list. The strongest one among them is the one dressed in a blue embroidered robe and crown band, Lan Yin, and he's ranked 75th on the dragon list. Su Luo did not have any idea what being the 75th rank on the dragon list meant, resulting in her asking, "What about you guys? What ranks are you guys on dragon list?" Li Man Man froze for an instant before pointing towards senior brother Luo Qing. "Squadron leader's the strongest among us, but his ranking on the dragon list is only 86th. Su Luo. Then, how do I compare to Lan Yin?" asked Su Luo. Li Man Man shot a silent look at her before finally deciding to say the truth. "Don't look down on the 75th ranked person on the dragon list. Lan Yin has already reached the 4-star saint rank. Do you think you can defeat him?" After reaching the saint rank, there was a considerable difference between each star ranking. 4-star saint rank. The difference was too great. Su Luo shook her head. As of now, she didn't have the confidence to defeat him. While they were talking, 4 people had already arrived pridefully in front of Su Luo and the others. "What are you people doing here?" Li Man Man asked after stealing her face. "Why did we appear here?" "Of course, we're waiting for you guys." Yin Xiao replied with an ambiguous upward curl in the corner of his mouth, sending a ridiculing look at Su Luo. "Aren't you guys too weak? We've been waiting here for 2 days already, all just for you guys." No matter how stupid she might be, Li Man Man was able to see through the other party's intention right away. "What the hell do you guys want?" Li Man Man shouted back as she positioned herself right in front of Su Luo. Yin Xiao extended a slender and jade-like finger to push Li Man Man away while replying with a sneer. "None of your business. Move aside and stay there." "No." Li Man Man raised her chest and replied. "Are you looking to die?" Yin Xiao shot a vicious glare at Li Man Man. "Move aside and stay there, and we'll spare your lives on the account of senior brother Luo." "What about her?" Li Man Man pointed towards Su Luo. "Her? Ha! She still dares to live after disrespecting Fairy Wu Yu? In your dreams." Yin Xiao spitted on the ground. "Did Fairy Wu Yu send you guys?" Crossing her arms, an indifferent smile appeared on Su Luo's face as she shot a ridiculing sidelong glance back at them. Chapter 2181. Life and Death 2. Li Man Man was immediately anxious and angrily rebuked. "What's the matter with you guys? Didn't you agree to a 1-year period? Do you think that the battle of life and death is a fake? That's fine, since you guys don't take this agreement seriously, then hurry up and cancel this vile agreement." Li Man Man was full of expectations, but Yin Zhao's words shattered her fantasy. The 1-year agreement, that was the agreement between Fairy Wu Yu and Su Luo. "It has nothing to do with us. Brothers, what do you say?" Yin Xiao smiled wickedly toward his people. Those people all revealed knowing smiles, and all one by one gave Yin Xiao thumbs-ups in return. Su Luo's indifferent gaze swept over them. A sneer of disdain appeared at the corner of her mouth. The positions of these people were also quite interesting. Although there were only 4 individuals, they occupied 4 directions, front and back, left and right, surrounding the group of 5. Unfortunately, on Su Luo's side, even the deputy leader was only ranked 83rd on the dragon list. Even the others combined were not the equal opponents of the opposing party. This was really challenging for Su Luo. Big Sister Wei's poison had been inflicted by Fairy Wu Yu herself. She knew that Su Luo needed the poisonous serpent scorpion grass, and so she had these 4 people come and ambush her. Since this was the case, Fairy Wu Yu must be very sure of the strength of these 4 people. Li Man Man sneered at this moment. Isn't this Fairy Wu Yu shameless? First, she sent you as the lead. If you kill Su Luo, great. If not, then Fairy Wu Yu will simply wait a year to strike. Ah, what a good plan for her to have all these advantages. Yin Xiao frowned. Li Man Man, your senior brother Luo is about to be sent out because of this girl. Aren't you angry? Reasonably speaking, this team should probably hate Su Luo very much. Precisely because of such speculations, they had stepped out without any reservations instead of following Fairy Wu Yu's instructions of secretly taking action. They thought that by instigating this Xiao Luo team, they would leave Su Luo alone and helpless, betrayed by them. This would force her to face so many people alone, and would be the most tormenting for her. How could Li Man Man not be angry? Each time she thought of senior brother Luo's innocence, she was furious to the point that her lungs felt like they would explode. Although at first, she had raised her eyebrows at Su Luo. After these few days of getting along with each other, Li Man Man had changed her opinion of Su Luo a great deal. She could bully Su Luo, but definitely would not allow others to bully her. Therefore, Li Man Man looked at Yin Xiao with a sneer, stepped forward, and steadily stood in front of Su Luo. It's my own business whether I'm angry or not. It has nothing to do with you. However, if you want to touch Su Luo, you'll have to step over my dead body. Li Man Man's reaction surprised Yin Xiao. Meanwhile, senior brother Luo Qing, Tian Meng, and Su Yin had also positioned themselves in all 4 directions, surrounding Su Luo one by one. Seeing this, Yin Xiao sneered with disdain in his eyes. Lan Yin shook his hand, and a long sword appeared in it, snorting coldly. It seems that you'd rather drink punishment wine and refuse the toast one? Mo Li smiled lightly. A few of you fighting against us is simply sending yourselves to death. As long as you all promise not to interfere, for the sake of senior brother Luo, we can let you live. However, senior brother Luo Qing and the others had absolutely no intention to move away at all. Li Man Man knew that once they made a move, Su Luo was extremely likely to be killed, so she hurriedly shouted out loud, "You can't kill her." Oh! Mo Li smiled warmly. Senior brother Luo won't stand up for a dead person. Let's set senior brother Luo aside. Do you all dare to violate even the orders of the city lord? Li Man Man pointed her finger at Su Luo. She, Su Luo, is a person handpicked by the city lord. If the city lord returns, all of you, one by one, will die. Who knew that Mo Li and the others would look up to the sky laughing? If she was one of the people handpicked by the city lord, then we would all be the city lord's own sons. Su Luo. We have evidence. Li Man Man shouted. However, these people weren't giving Su Luo any more chances. Lan Yin could only be seen to give a cold sneer and said softly, "No more nonsense, come on." While Li Man Man was screaming, these 4 people pounced like fierce tigers toward the Xiao Luo team. Su Luo run. Senior brother Luo Qing fiercely pushed Su Luo out of the circle of battle. After several battles together, everyone in the Xiao Luo team knew that Su Luo could teleport, so as long as she ran away, she would definitely be able to escape. How could Su Luo run at this time? If she really ran away, these 4 people would vent their anger on the head of the Xiao Luo team. The lives of senior brother Luo Qing and the others would be put in jeopardy. In a flash, Su Luo's figure moved. When she reappeared, she had already arrived behind Lan Yin. Lan Yin sneered, "You've come? Very good." Nevertheless, in an instant, they had already exchanged 49 moves. Although it was Lan Yin who was attacking, he was slightly shocked in his heart at this moment, because Su Luo's strength was actually far beyond his expectations. He had originally thought that the small 7-star commander rank would take no effort to deal with. Just a slap would turn her into mush. However, after they really fought, Lan Yingyan realized that this girl was more difficult to deal with than a 3-star saint rank. Her speed was almost as fast as lightning. Her attack power was strong and domineering. That flexibility and agility, that rich combat experience. This was simply not what a 7-star commander rank should possess. You are concealing your strength. You are not a 7-star commander rank at all. Lan Yingyan came to this conclusion. Su Luo's face was cold and calm. However, her heart was anxious. Her mind was quickly flashing with a plan to disengage. The current her, even at full strength, was not a match for Lan Yingyan. Moreover, Su Luo's gaze swept over to where senior brother Luo Qing and the others were dwarfed by the other 3 people. They were really struggling. She was afraid they would most likely not be able to survive for any more than the time it took to burn a stick of incense. The Xiao Luo team would never leave her. How could she escape without the others? What could she do to retreat completely and still keep the Xiao Luo team safe? Under Lan Yingyan's attack, Su Luo kept losing ground and eventually collapsed. Boom! Lan Yingyan viciously smashed Su Luo's abdomen with a heavy blow. Su Luo's body was like a kite with a broken string. She was thrown far away before finally falling heavily to the ground, causing a deep, giant crater to appear on the ground. Su Luo spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. At the same time, Lan Yingyan was already running speedily towards her. He stretched out his long arms and grabbed Su Luo's right foot, pulling her whole person as if he was carrying a little fox. Haha, how can I get rid of you? Killing? No, too fast. Burning to death? Not fun. Beaten to death? Too bloody? Not good. Lan Yingyan carried Su Luo in a very distressed manner. Oh yes, how about smashing you to death? Ha. Lan Yingyan nodded to himself in approval, praising himself for his own wit. Then, he lifted Su Luo high above his head with both hands, sinking his chi into his dantian. It appeared that he was about to smash Su Luo completely. Chapter 2182, Life and Death 3. He suddenly felt a scorching heat on the top of his head, and he reached out his hand to touch it. It was burning hot. Senior brother Lan, your hair is on fire. Yin Xiao yelled out when he saw this. At this time, Lan Yingyan's hair had already been burned, and it was burning vigorously. Not long after, black smoke appeared. Hair, to begin with, was already a flammable material, and adding on to that, it had been burnt by the flames of the fallen red lotus. This fire was not at all easy to extinguish. Lan Yingyan was angry to the point of wanting to just slap Su Luo to death. By now, even if he was mentally disabled, he had already figured out that the only one who could have set his hair on fire was the Su Luo, who he had currently raised above his head. At this moment, the person Lan Yingyan wanted to slap the most was himself. Killing, beating to death, burning to death, all of these would work, but he had been so mentally disabled at that moment, choosing out of all things to smash Su Luo to death. This allowed her the chance to get close to him and enabled her to retaliate. In reality, much of his power had not yet been displayed. Lan Yingyan no longer had the time to think about any of this. The most important thing for him right now was to hurry and extinguish the scorching flames on his head. Su Luo wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. A cold and sly smile flashed under her eyes. In a flash, she slipped to the side, fiercely stabbing a dagger towards Lan Yingyan's chest. If Su Luo stabbed him, Lan Yingyan would probably be half dead. At this time, Lan Yingyan was busy extinguishing the fire, but he turned around to avoid Su Luo's deathly attack. Who knew that Su Luo seemed to have expected this move ahead of time? She leaned sideways and leaped over Lan Yingyan's right hand. The dagger slashed across his arm. A clear, ringing sound was heard. Lan Yingyan looked down and was instantly furious. The dagger had cut a bloody wound into his right arm. The wound was not big, and the amount of blood flowing out was very little. However, the blood that flowed out was green. It was obvious that Su Luo had smeared poison on the dagger. You dare to use poison? Lan Yingyan extinguished the last cluster of flames above his head, flying towards Su Luo wildly. His eyes were flashing with rage. Su Luo sneered. I already used it. What else do I not dare to do? Since you are asking this question, it shows that your brain has already been damaged by the flames. Lan Yin almost went crazy with anger. But at this time, he found that the strength in his arms was disappearing, and this feeling of powerlessness was spreading towards his limbs and his bones. Lan Yin was so angry that he was going crazy. Quickly bring out the antidote. Su Luo sneered, but at that instant, a miserable scream came from Li Man Man. Su Luo turned her head and saw that several members of the Xiao Luo team had all been controlled by their opponent. One by one, cold swords lay across their necks. They would be dead if the cold swords fell. Yin Xiao finally saw what Lan Yin presently looked like. He was so shocked that his eyes were about to pop out. The originally beautiful man's hair was burnt to the extent where there was a piece of hair to the east and another to the west, one piece of red and one piece of white. His face was pitch black, and even his clothes had been burned into with small black holes. He simply could not appear more wretched. "Seen your brother Lan Yu?" Yin Xiao covered his eyes and couldn't bear to see anymore. Lan Yin knew how embarrassing he appeared at this moment, but his life was more important. He pointed at Su Luo with his long sword and said angrily, "Hurry up and hand over the antidote, or your Xiao Luo team will be collectively finished off." Su Luo snickered, hands crossed behind her back and looking up at the sky. "We are finished. You are also finished. This seems fair enough. You really think that nobody but you can cure this poison?" A shadow of malice flashed under Lan Yin's eyes. "Then, you take a look. Do you know what kind of poison this is?" The corners of Su Luo's mouth twitched slightly. A cruel touch flashed across her thin lips. This poison was incredible. Master had refined it, and it was called a sword to seal the throat. The amount Su Luo possessed was very small, so she would not use it in a normal situation and only used it this time because it was a matter of life or death. Would Lan Yin be able to identify this poison? Entirely impossible. At this time, Yin Xiao and the others ran up and circled Lan Yin, but they, however, were all helpless towards this poison. At this point, things had come to a deadlock. Lan Yin could clearly see a green meridian now appearing on his right arm, and this green meridian was moving upstream at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was only just now on the elbow, but now it had already almost reached the shoulder. Su Luo smilingly interjected, "Wait until the green meridian reaches the heart. You have worked so hard during your life to reach 75th place on the dragon list. I feel sorry for you. Don't glare at me. Anyway, if we all are going to die, it is not considered a loss for me, a person who is at the bottom of dragon list, to be buried alongside you." Su Luo was now betting everyone's life on this. As the saying goes, those who are barefoot are not afraid of those who wear one. Lan Yin's life was more precious than hers. Su Luo had already calculated they wouldn't let him die. "Brother Lan, right now we still hold the advantage. Can we really still be threatened by this vile wench? Sit there and wait for me. I'll kill her," Yin Xiao said. He hadn't yet finished his sentence when he was already rushing towards Su Luo to attack. Su Luo's mouth curled into a sly, cold smile. She knew that these people usually appeared as if they were harmonious. However, when it came to critical moments, they wouldn't hesitate to get rid of each other. In their hearts, these men were jealous of each other. It was quite scary. Before Yin Xiao approached her, Su Luo said provocatively, "But if you die, the spot next to Fairy Wu Yu would happen to be freed up. For example, some of these people here, they could take advantage of the situation." Su Luo's words incited their jealousy. "Hey, stinky girl, what do you mean?" Yin Xiao was already in a bad mood. After hearing Su Luo's words, he was so furious he began trembling with anger, glaring at her anxiously. At this moment, he no longer dared to go up and attack, and he just pointed at Su Luo with the tip of the sword. "I meant exactly what I said. If there is anyone who is anxious or frustrated, it shows that that person wants to take this position." Su Luo leaned against the trunk of the old tree and looked at Yin Xiao with a smile. She downplayed Yin Xiao's words, but it made him almost explode with anger, because Su Luo's words were true, and they were piercing into his heart. Lan Yingyin glanced at Yin Xiao with a suspicious look, and then looked over Mo Li and the others' faces one by one. He had to admit that Su Luo's words did make sense. Now, the state of affairs had fallen into a very delicate situation. Lan Yingyin and his team controlled Su Luo's team, leaving Su Luo the only one remaining. However, the team leader Lan Yingyin had been poisoned by Su Luo, and aside from her, no one else could treat this a sword to seal a throat poison. At the same time, Lan Yingyin's team was not harmonious, and the other three people were also eyeing his position. Right now, the two opposing sides were in balance, only because no one knew how much strength they had left. And this very situation had been designed by Su Luo to allow them to retreat. She could neither overly weaken Lan Yingyin, nor not weaken him at all. She had deliberately shown her weakness earlier, and this included purposefully allowing herself to be beaten by Lan Yingyin, so as to trap him into this dilemma and leave him with no choice but to temporarily suspend this fight. Yin Xiao wanted to disregard all of this and rush up to kill Su Luo so that he could contribute. However, under Lan Yingyin's gaze, his footsteps seemed to be nailed to the ground, and he was unable to move. Chapter 2183, Life and Death 4. With a shrug, Su Luo spread her hands and said casually, "Young Master Lan, you are a wise man. Is there a need for you to ask me? We can have a truce, but you must hand over the antidote." With a move of his body, Lan Yingyin appeared right before Su Luo. Despite continuing to wear a casual smile, as though nothing had bothered her, Su Luo's body had turned tense as she entered a state of alert emergency. From the beginning, she worked step by step, calculating all possibilities, which finally led to this deadlock. She couldn't fall short just because of her carelessness in one aspect. She proceeded to reply with a faint smile, "Young Master Lan wants to capture me and then search for the antidote. However, this method is pointless because I only brought out a part of the antidote. The other part is with Senior Brother Luo." Lan Yingyin balled up his sleeve-covered fists. What a wench! She was witty and had an airtight defense. "So, how should we proceed?" Lan Yingyin's voice was deep and coarse as he forcefully suppressed his anger. "It's very simple. I will give you a part of the antidote. After our team returns to Wuchen Mountain safely, I will give you the other part of the antidote." Under the fierce gaze of Lan Yingyin, Su Luo continued to smile faintly, like a light, calm blowing breeze, as though nothing could shake her at all. Lan Yingyin could feel the green meridian going deeper and deeper. At this moment, it was not far from the heart and the lungs. "What if you don't fulfill your promise after returning to Wuchen Mountain?" Lan Yingyin said defensively. "Have you forgotten that this is a world where strength is respected?" Su Luo squinted at him. What she meant was that Lan Yingyin was stronger than her, so how dare she break her promise? Nevertheless, Lan Yingyin wasn't that easy to fool. With an aggressive look in his eyes, he glared back at her. "Unless you promise to go back to Wuchen Mountain and fight a life-or-death duel with me in the gravity chamber." Lan Yingyin felt that he succumbed completely to his anger, resulting in him playing right into Su Luo's hands. With his real strength, not even 10 of Su Luo's would be enough to kill him. It was another huge declaration of war. Su Luo looked at Lan Yingyin with a cold gaze, taking in the undisguised arrogance and killing intent present in his eyes. Su Luo saw looks of malice flashing through the eyes of Yin Xiao and the others. She knew that if she didn't agree to this duel, they would unite and kill Lan Yingyin, followed by herself. It would be troublesome if that occurs. Su Luo raised her mouth slightly. "A life and death battle? All right, but it will be in a month." Would she be able to undergo a massive increase in strength in that month? A ridiculing sneer appeared at the corner of Lan Yingyin's mouth, though he proceeded to nod, sure. As a result, the two people signed a life and death battle without regard for anyone else. Su Luo swept her indifferent gaze over Yin Xiao and the others, before throwing a vermilion pill to Lan Yingyin. "Swallow it. It will work immediately." Yin Xiao exchanged quite a few glances with the others. However, as no one dared to go first, It resulted in his hesitation to move. And while they were still thinking, Lan Yin had already consumed that half of the antidote. At that moment, an unconcealed look of disappointment flashed in their eyes. That was their best chance to get rid of Lan Yin. Let's go. Probably feeling too embarrassed by the chain of events, Lan Yin threw off those two words in a cold voice, with him already dashing away from the scene. Yin Xiao shot Su Luo a glare with his gloom-filled eyes, before making a beheading gesture with his right hand towards Su Luo. Nevertheless, he still stomped off full of anger in pursuit of Lan Yin. In the end, both Mo Li and Mo Zhe stomped angrily in turn and followed suit. It was only after all of them had left that Li Man came back to her senses. She looked at Su Luo in amazement. I didn't expect for you to have a solution in hand. I thought you were destined to die this time. You really are too damn smart. You've actually managed to pull those arrogant peacocks by their noses. Being able to turn a disadvantage into an advantageous situation when the entire army was about to be wiped out was not something ordinary people could accomplish. Su Luo smiled faintly, appearing not to care. Since you were in danger because of me, how could I leave you alone? Li Man looked at Su Luo with a magical gaze. There was admiration in her eyes that she had never showed before, but after she realized she was treating Su Luo too well, she changed her expression into a fierce look. Don't be too proud of yourself. Senior brother Luo's innocence still hangs on you. Su Luo rubbed her nose with a wry smile. Senior brother Luo Qing looked at Su Luo with worry in his eyes. Does senior brother Luo Qing have something to say? Su Luo asked when she saw that he was hesitant to speak. Senior brother Luo Qing frowned. Having just fought against Lan Yin, you know his true strength better than anyone else. How would you be able to deal with his life and death battle? The battered and bruised Tian Mang was even more direct. That's right, little Luo. Although you are very strong, you still can't beat Lan Yin at all. Are you sure you are not going to die? Su Yin also looked at Su Luo with concern, with a slight frown appearing on his face. Li Man followed up. What can we do? This is a life and death battle. There's no way for you to reject it after agreeing to it. What are you all afraid of? Didn't he just get beaten by me? He doesn't seem any bit extraordinary at all, you know? Su Luo replied with an indifferent smile. Nevertheless, brother Luo Qing continued to stare at Su Luo sternly. Just now, Lan Yin assumed that you only possess a 7-star commander rank. This resulted in him being too careless. He underestimated you, so he didn't use his true strength, which led to his loss. Li Man nodded frantically. Senior brother Luo Qing continued to speak in a serious tone. However, after this, Lan Yin will be prepared for you. Next time, he won't be careless, let alone merciful. I assume that you'll have no room left for any counterattack once he makes his move. After all, there was a huge disparity in strength between the two. Su Luo stroked her chin in contemplation. Upon raising her head and seeing the concerned expressions of the people in her team, she smiled. We can cross that bridge when we reach one. Isn't this still a month away? Why are you getting overwhelmed with worry? I feel that you all seem to have forgotten the main purpose of us coming to the magical beast zone this time. At this time, everyone remembered about the poisonous serpent-scorpion grass. The moment Su Luo flew up to pick the poisonous serpent-scorpion grass, Li Man made a statement. Now I really don't know whether it's us protecting her or her protecting us for our trip into the inner magical beast zone. Everyone. In Su Luo's view, the thousand-eyed condor was much easier to deal with than Lan Yin's group. It didn't take long before she flew down the cliff with the poisonous serpent-scorpion grass. At this point, the task of entering the inner magical beast zone was considered completed. However, due to Lan Yin's life and death battle, everyone was in a bad mood. Therefore, they rushed back, returning to Wuchen Mountain in less than 3 days. Inside Wuchen Mountain, when Luo Yichen heard Su Luo and Lan Yin's duel, his brows furrowed slightly before he stood up and paced about in the training room. After pacing back and forth, the usual calm expression reappeared on his handsome face, before following up with a sigh. It's still all right. This will give that naughty girl more pressure that will in turn motivate her to train harder. Only through this will her strength grow fast. After thinking about it, Luo Yichen still proceeded to transfer some points towards Su Luo's diamond token. Chapter 2184, Gravity Chamber 1. Although Big Sister Wei's matters were handled, Su Luo now had to focus her mind and deal with her own bet. Lan Yingyan was very strong. If it hadn't been for Lan Yingyan underestimating her, there was no way he would give her the opportunity to make trouble. On the aspect of combat strength, Su Luo would not be able to even make 10 moves in front of him. What should I do? Su Luo stroked her chin, her mind deep in thought as she paced around the hall. Hey, can't you just sit down? You're making my head dizzy from all of your pacing. Li Man shot a sullen glare at Su Luo. Upon looking at her, Su Luo's eyes lit up. Li Man, come here, Su Luo said while hooking her finger. What? Despite being seemingly impatient, Li Man was not able to resist her curiosity, so she ran up in compliance towards Su Luo. Do you have a fast way to improve your cultivation level? Or any methods? Su Luo felt that there must be some methods to accomplish this feat within Genius Training Camp. She remembered the first elder said before that there was an extreme abundance of cultivation resources inside there. Li Man nodded while knocking on the savory pine nuts. Of course there is. Don't you know about it? However, let me tell you that, even if you know, there isn't any door for you to enter. Why? Su Luo also grabbed a handful of pine nuts and broke them open. Because you don't have points. Li Man shot Su Luo a look of disgust. For us, the best training resource is the gravity chamber. However, you need a lot of points in order to use the gravity chamber. You won't be able to afford it. I do have points. Su Luo waved her diamond token. Only then did Li Man remember about Su Luo's benefit of having a 5x multiplication to her accumulated points. However, she still shook her head. How many total points do you have now? Su Luo counted. Over 100,000. Before, she was indeed extremely poor. This time, she earned those 100,000 over points by entering the inner magical beast zone with Little Luo's team. Upon hearing that Su Luo had 100,000 points, Li Man's eyes widened, staring at her with a look of disbelief. What a good diamond token. You actually have over 100,000 points. Su Luo also felt that 100,000 points were really hard to get, causing her to recall back on the time she had robbed the Guardian Lord. Now, she was much richer than him. Li Man waved her hand repeatedly. Forget it. Even over 100,000 points are not enough to pay for 1 day of usage in the gravity chamber. It's that expensive? Su Luo frowned. Does it really have to be in the gravity chambers? Of course. If you want to defeat Lan Yingyan, you need to use the gravity chamber. Li Man nodded. All of a sudden, she picked up her communication amulet. After taking a look at it, her expression changed slightly. Then she shot a stiff look at Su Luo. What's the matter? Su Luo had a bad feeling rising within her. Lan Yingyan is getting ready to enter the gravity chamber. Li Man swallowed hard. According to the rumors, Fairy Wu Yu has provided him with enough points to cultivate for a month. Oh. Su Luo nodded. Oh what? Li Man burst out, stood up for an instant, and walked around the room anxiously. Lan Yingyan is already much stronger than you. Now he's going to practice in the gravity chamber. 1 month later, you won't even be able to handle a single move from him. It's all your fault. Why did you give him the remaining half of the antidote? Your win would be guaranteed if you didn't give it to him. Oh, what should I do? What should I do? This won't cut it. I have to find the leader and the others and see if I can gather any significant number of points at all. Chapter 2185, Gravity Chamber 2. Li Man was about to run away. But at this time, Su Luo's diamond token flashed with a ray of bright light. Su Luo grabbed the diamond token, looked at it, and became a little dumbfounded. Wait, she called out to stop Li Man. What? Li Man yelled at Su Luo with impatience. Now that you are in a hot place, how can you be so calm? This was really the case in which the emperor was not in a hurry. But rather the eunuch was the anxious one. Points? I have them. Su Luo waved around the money. I don't know who sponsored a number of points. Sponsorship? How much can it be? That's nothing more than a drop in the bucket. Okay. Li Man Man glared at Su Luo, speaking in a bad tone. What if it's 10 million points? Su Luo looked at her with a smile, tossing her diamond token up and down. 10 million points? Li Man Man felt that her entire self was going crazy, staring at Su Luo with the gaze of a fool. Anyway, she wouldn't believe this. Nonetheless, seeing Su Luo full of self-confidence, she approached her suspiciously. Su Luo displayed the number of points in the diamond token. Li Man Man sucked in a cold breath of air. There were so many zeros. Seeing all those zeros, Li Man Man felt dizzy, unable to count them accurately. After counting numerous times and finally confirming the amount, she raised her head, looking at Su Luo in a daze, and gritted her teeth. Didn't you say over 100,000 points? Su Luo shrugged. I already said someone just sponsored it. Do you think everyone else is an idiot? That's 10 million points. 10 million. Even if Li Man Man was sold, they wouldn't be able to collect that many points. Who is stupid enough to send you so much? Suddenly, Li Man Man covered her mouth and looked around. Someone able to take out such a large amount of points at once and then give it away. Even after searching the entire genius training camp, there would hardly be a few, but now there was actually someone in the castle who... It wouldn't be Senior Brother Luo, right? Li Man Man asked foolishly. Su Luo shrugged her shoulders. It's possible. It wasn't just possible. In fact, in her heart, Su Luo was absolutely certain that it was Senior Brother Luo, because other than him, Su Luo had no other backers. Li Man Man looked at Su Luo's diamond token in surprise. The 10 million points were an extreme shock to her. By the way, what exactly is so good about the gravity chamber? After getting the points, Su Luo felt more emboldened. As for what she owed to Luo Yichen, well, she already owed him so much anyway. Once Nangong Luoyun returned, she would just ask him to pay it back, Su Luo thought in her heart. Of course, the gravity chamber is good. Li Man Man came back to her senses and began to explain to Su Luo. 1 day passed in the gravity chamber is equivalent to 100 days passing in the outside world. You see, if you don't go in after a month, you will only have practiced for 30 days while Lan Yingyan would have practiced for 3,000 days. How would you be able to compete with him then? Su Luo gasped. Her training space was 1 to 10, and she had thought this was already great. She hadn't expected the gravity chamber to be 1 to 100. Indeed, as Li Man Man said, if Lan Yingyan could stay in the gravity chamber and practice for 3,000 days, then when he came out, she would not be able to beat him at all. I'm telling you, the gravity chamber not only has such a magical effect on time, but the most attractive thing is the heavy pressure. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called the gravity chamber, it would be the time room. Li Man Man kept gleefully boasting to Su Luo, explaining the science. In the gravity chamber, the weight pressure can be adjusted from 1 to 100 times. As long as you have the ability, you can adjust it to 100 times. Chapter 2186, Gravity Chamber 3. Of course, if you want to adjust it to 100 times right after entering, you don't need to come out anymore, since you'd be directly crushed into a mass of mush. Li Man Man said with a smile. How much does such a magical gravity chamber cost a day? 330,000 points a day. Li Man Man glanced at Su Luo sympathetically. 10 million points is only enough to stay for a month. I forgot to tell you, but Lan Yingyan and Fairy Wuyu also gave 10 million points there. Su Luo let out a cry. Fairy Wuyu is truly a rich woman, giving away 10 million points just like that with a wave of her hand. Su Luo began to reflect on herself, because compared to Fairy Wuyu, she was truly a poor person. After she spent all these 10 million points, she would return to being in abject poverty again. Let's go, let's go. In just a short amount of time, Lan Yingyan has already been inside cultivating for several days. Li Man Man urged Su Luo, hurry. I'll take you to the gravity chamber. Under Li Man Man's urges, and with the guidance of the Xiao Luo team, Su Luo was rushed to the gravity chamber. because the various training resources in the Genius Training Camp were closer to the most powerful people. The gravity chamber wasn't far from Luo Yichen's mountain. 2 hours later, they had already arrived. From a distance, Su Luo saw a tall tower standing in the square, the tip of which towered into the clouds. The square was so wide you could hardly see the edges. Su Luo estimated that just the square in front of the tower was as big as an outside city. Today, the gravity chamber was more lively than other days. Outside the tower, many people were standing in groups of 2s and 3s, and they were all discussing excitedly. Fairy Wu Yu is really generous. 10 million points. And she gave him away just like that. Of course, that's Fairy Wu Yu for you. To her, 10 million points are nothing more than a drop in the bucket. That's true. Have you heard? Rumor has it that 2 new people have come from the midstream mountain, and one of them is clamoring to fight to the death with Fairy Wu Yu. Huh? You guys are talking about the one called Su Luo, right? What kind of person is this who doesn't realize their own strength? She just came from the midstream mountain. She's last place in terms of strength, and she still dares to fight with Fairy Wu Yu? Even a fight to the death. With a single slap, Fairy Wu Yu would leave her with no shadow. You're a bit biased. Who said that girl is definitely ranked last? I heard that Lan Yingyan was beaten by that girl. That's why he's been training in the gravity chamber. He's training to fight with that girl to the death in a month. Hey, that's not the version I heard. How so? I heard that Fairy Wu Yu has always been partial to Lan Yingyan, but she was afraid that the other men would be angry, so she deliberately found an excuse to send Lan Yingyan in for cultivation. It's not like what you said about that girl from the midstream defeating him. That's right. Lan Yingyan is at least ranked 75th on the dragon list. You think a girl who just came up from below can beat him? Dream on. The group of people talked on, and their discussion became unusually intense. Except for the man in the purple robe who had spoken positively of Su Luo. Everyone else was in favor of Lan Yingyan. However, after the man in purple was countered by his group, he thought it through for a bit and then went along with the others to stand against Su Luo together. Then, this group of people saw the Xiao Luo team. Luo Qing, what are you doing here? Do you also have enough points to enter the gravity chamber? Seeing Deputy Leader Luo Qing, a person laughed and teased. Chapter 2187, Gravity Chamber 4. Senior brother Luo Qing swept a glance at them and nodded slightly, but said nothing. One of the people in the group became gleeful. How many days' worth did you collect this time? It can't be that you don't even have enough for 3 days, right? Huh? 3 days still requires 1 million points. Luo Qing, I heard that you entered the magical beast zone this time. You made a fortune, right? Hey, I don't recognize this pretty girl. I don't think I've seen her before. Although you all haven't seen her yourselves, you've certainly heard of her name before. She's the one who just came up from the midstream mountains, the famous last-ranked Su Luo. As soon as the words about Su Luo being the person in last place came out, Li Man Man immediately became upset. What nonsense are you talking about? Su Luo is not ranked last. Li Man Man shouted at the group of people. They hadn't expected Li Man Man to be so aggressive, and for a moment, they didn't know how to react. Don't talk nonsense if you don't know anything. Li Man Man glared at them angrily. Hey, isn't this Junior Sister Man Man? Are you confused in the head? Why are you speaking in favor of that girl? That's right. She is so beautiful. With her joining your team, isn't she stealing away your spotlight? Are you not jealous at all? And your favorite senior brother-in-law is going to lose because of Su Luo. There was never a shortage of people who tried to sow discord in this world. When they saw Li Man Man defending Su Luo, a strange feeling swept over them one by one. This was very out of character for Li Man Man. Li Man Man was trembling with anger. Senior brother Luo will not lose. Li Man Man glared at the group fiercely. She felt like she was going to explode from anger. She didn't know what was going on. She herself had been impatient and disgusted with Su Luo, criticizing her every little detail. However, when it came to someone else mocking Su Luo, she couldn't stand it at all. She wanted to pick a fight with him. Seeing Li Man Man like this, Su Luo shook her head and smiled slightly. She thought Li Man Man was extremely cute. How similar was Li Man's indignance about Su Luo to how one regarded their alma mater? You could have tens of millions of complaints about your school, but if someone else started trash-talking it, you would be incensed. Su Luo patted Li Man on the back. That's enough. Why bother getting angry over these irrelevant peoples? The onlookers saw Su Luo's indifferent and calm attitude, and their eyes shifted slightly. It had to be said that usually, under everyone's hate and ridicule, even if she didn't cover her face and run away crying, wouldn't a girl at least shoot an angry glare? Didn't she see how upset Li Man, an uninvolved person, was? However, Su Luo's reaction was completely beyond their expectations. Her unhurried, calm, and relaxed appearance was truly puzzling. So someone raised an eyebrow and asked Su Luo, "Do you want to enter the gravity chamber too?" Su Luo smiled faintly and nodded. Preparing to compete with Lan Yin in a month? Su Luo nodded calmly again. I advise you to forget about it. This person glanced at Su Luo slowly and waved his hand. Lan Yin has just entered, but he made a one-time payment of 30 days' worth of points, 10 million points in total. The sum of your entire team's points will only be enough for 3 days at most. So why bother? Yes, why bother? You don't even have to wait for the battle of life and death in 30 days. You could just as well just take your own life. Such a beautiful girl. It's such a pity for her to kill herself. Could have been used as a honey trap or something. Li Man was fuming with anger, and she pointed at them, saying, "What are you all gloating about? You think Lan Yingan is the only one who has 10 million points? We can afford it too." Chapter 2188. Gravity Chamber 5? Hilarious. 10 million points? Hurry up and take them out for us brothers to see. If you guys can actually take out 10 million points, I will swallow this sword here on the spot. The person pointed to his 2-meter-long giant sword. Su Luo swept an unhurried glance towards him. You better remember your words well. All these people are watching. Then, Su Luo strolled to the door of the gravity chamber. There was a token slot at the entrance of the gravity chamber that showed how many days had been paid for. What? When they saw that after Su Luo swiped her token, it clearly said 30 days. One by one, they got all dumbfounded, gazing at Su Luo foolishly. Su Luo calmly turned around and declared to Li Man, "You know what to do, right?" Li Man replied in triumph, "Just go in and rest assured, I will make sure Lin Aoyan swallows that sword of his." Su Luo's eyes swept over the group of speechless people. Then she turned and entered the gravity chamber. When Lin Aoyan realized that the situation had gone awry, he was about to turn tail and run, but the Xiao Luo team had already stopped and surrounded him. "Brother, this sword is made of really good material. It looks delicious. Come on, taste it. It's fresh." Surrounded, the overwhelmed Lin Aoyan was close to crying. Not to mention, there was a ruckus outside from all the people talking about Su Luo. After she swiped the token, the heavy iron door opened to let her in. Then, it closed again with a heavy thud behind her. It was pitch black inside, so dark you couldn't see your fingers in front of you. Swipe the token. A flame lit up. Su Luo calmly looked at the man. He was only 3 feet away from her, yet she had been unaware of his presence before he spoke. He was an old, white-bearded grandfather who was about 100 years old. He was dressed in plain clothes and had a serious and unsmiling face. It was apparent that he was just a guide, but Su Luo was secretly surprised in her heart. The little old man who led the way had such profound strength, so high that she could not even guess his cultivation rank. This genius training camp was truly a place full of crouching tigers and hidden one. Su Luo was shocked. "Miss Su, the gravity chamber is up ahead. Come with me." The old guide, holding a peculiar lantern, led Su Luo up the steps. The temperature was somewhat low on the ground level. As she ascended, step by step, Su Luo felt the temperature gradually rise, giving the feeling of a spring breeze. After walking for an unknown period of time, the narrow path of steps at last came to an end, and a vast space appeared up ahead. In front of them were rows upon rows of rooms, each one marked with numbers. The old man guiding the way explained to Su Luo, There are a total of 13 rooms here, and Miss Sue can choose any one according to your strength. After giving such a simple explanation, the old guide went back downstairs with his strange lantern. Hey, I was wondering who could it be? Turns out it was you. A mocking voice came from up ahead, and a pair of eyes as cold as a viper stared at Su Luo. Su Luo raised her eyes to look back at him, complaining in her heart that meeting one's enemy was truly too. The person standing in front of her was none other than Lan Yin. Lan Yin had been holding onto the doorknob and was about to push the door open, but when he saw Su Luo appear, stopped and spoke to her with sarcasm. What? Is this gravity chamber your house, or something? You think you're the only one allowed to enter, and not me? Su Luo smiled lightly and walked along the corridor. Passing by the door of Lan Yin's room, she smiled again. Is this number 5? Chapter 2189, Gravity Chamber 6-0. A blank look appeared on Su Luo's face. Lan Yin grinned. Bronze token, silver token, gold token, and jade token corresponds to the 4 gravity chamber levels of 3, 6, 9, and 12 respectively. Don't you even know this? Su Luo gave a faint smile in response. If it weren't for Lan Yin's words, I wouldn't know about this. Really? Is there any difference between these 4 levels? A look akin to an inquisitive baby appeared on Su Luo's face. Of course, there is a difference. Lan Yin felt that Su Luo was an utter idiot. The upper limits of these chambers are different. Lan Yin ridiculed Su Luo and explained with a condescending tone. Take, for example, my number 5 room. The maximum limit of gravity in this room is 50 times. So, that's it? Su Luo scratched her chin, though her eyes were locked straight towards the room number 13 ahead of her. So, room 13 equates to 130 times the gravity? That was even more than what Li Man had said. At your level, you can only use room number 4 at best. Lan Yin looked at Su Luo with a sneer. Your current cultivation is beneath me, and now you're using a lower room than me. After a month, let's see how you can beat me. A month later, huh? Su Luo muttered, scratching her chin. Ah, yes, you can't even afford to pay for 1 month's points yourself. Lan Yin laughed at Su Luo. You only have 1 month left to live, so cherish it well. Su Luo smiled and shook her head without answering. Where is room number 13? Su Luo asked with interest. You got guts? Room number 13 is not somewhere us mere students can enter. It is said that even the elders cannot enter it. That is the place where the city lord once trained in. It is protected, so no one can enter. I'm actually a little bit interested in room number 13. Huh? You are interested in room number 13, but no one is interested in you at all? Okay. Unless the lord of the city himself comes, room number 13 will not be opened. Lan Yin swore, shaking his fist. Su Luo laughed without replying, before proceeding to walk along the corridor. Hey, what are you doing? You can't even open the doors up ahead. Lan Yin yelled at Su Luo. Nevertheless, Su Luo turned a deaf ear to his words and kept walking. A mocking sneer curled up from the corner of Lan Yin's mouth. Those doors are arranged in order of the token level. You only have a silver medal at most, yet you want to open those doors? Huh, I'll be waiting here to laugh at you when you come back. Lan Yin simply didn't believe it, so he didn't go in and kept standing there holding the doorknob, sneering at Su Luo's back. Click! Su Luo swiped the diamond token at room number 10 and pushed it open. What? Seeing Su Luo lean half of her body into the room number 10 gravity chamber room, Lan Yin almost spewed out blood. How is this happening? How could she open door number 10? Even he could only open room number 5. Room number 10, wasn't only the elders qualified to open it? Even senior sister Wu Yu was able to enter room number 10 only after borrowing the 7th elder's token. Lan Yin felt his legs start to tremble. If Su Luo entered room 10, room number 10 equated to 100 times, so in other words, in 30 days Su Luo would have practiced for 3,000 days. With 3,000 days of practice and talent, it would be really hard to tell the level of improvement she would make. Chapter 2190. Speedily leveled up, 1, but the main event that would make him want to vomit blood had yet to come. With a click sound, he heard Su Luo closing the door for room number 10. Oh my god, I was right that room number 10 might not be properly locked up. Looks like she managed to push it open through blind luck. But it's okay. She can't even swipe her token, so she basically can't cultivate. In the end, wouldn't she just have to run away with her tail between her legs? Lan Yin wiped his sweat-drenched forehead while calming down his anxiously beating heart. Feelings of satisfaction, ridicule, and mockery emerged from the depths of his eyes. He then stared at Su Luo. If it was any other ordinary person, they definitely wouldn't be able to endure his gaze. However, Su Luo had gone against his expectations, as she unexpectedly continued to move forward after closing the door to room number 10 behind her. Is she stupid? Is she really hoping to open the door to room number 11? That is utterly impossible. Lan Yin decided that he would wait until Su Luo came back to fulfill her due mockery. But then, Su Luo's feet didn't even stop moving after going past room number 11. On the contrary, she continued to walk straight forward. Lan Yin's eyes widened. She was in front of room number 12. Unexpectedly, Su Luo didn't have the intention to stop and was actually proceeding to continue walking straight forward. At this point, Lan Yin finally remembered what Su Luo said before when she asked about room number 13. There's no way, right? Her goal is room number 13? Ha ha ha, that's the gravity chamber room that the city lord had used when he was cultivating. No one could enter it except for the city lord himself. Even the elders couldn't. Yet, Su Luo was now about to show a total disregard for her life by attempting to open room number 13. Lan Yin was brimming with evil intentions as he pondered. It was rumored that there was a special lock on the door of room number 13. If anyone tried to break the lock, they would immediately suffer a kickback. That was because such actions would be considered the same as an act of degrading the city lord, something that was equivalent to a swift and immediate execution. Exceedingly satisfied with the outcome, Lan Yin didn't even have a single thought of warning Su Luo. Just like a spectator watching a comedy, he proceeded to shoot a triumphant and haughty glance at Su Luo. His legs shook with his heart's exciting pounding. Obviously, Su Luo finally stopped in front of the door to room number 13, the gravity chamber room. Quickly push open the door, quick! Lan Yin was brimming with excitement as he clenched his fists tightly, silently cheering on Su Luo's attempt at opening the door. As soon as Su Luo activated the sensor using her token, not only would the token be destroyed, but Su Luo herself would also be turned to mist. Su Luo's small, white jade hand held her token and swiped toward the door. With a bam, Lan Yin smacked face first onto the ground. His actions were extremely fluid and precise. He was afraid that the powerful explosion would affect him, so his evasive maneuvers were extremely quick. However, the door of room number 13 opened softly with a small crack. Turning around, a blank look appeared on Su Luo's eyes as she looked doubtfully at Lan Yin. What are you doing? Why are you lying on the ground like a frog? After waiting for a long while for the impending explosion that did not occur, Lan Yin loosened his hand slightly. Upon hearing Su Luo's words, he couldn't believe what he was experiencing and looked up. Standing right in front of him was a completely uninjured Su Luo, and the door in front of her was being silently opened. Number 13. It was definitely the door to room number 13. But then, how could it be opened? Lan Yin was dumbstruck as he stood there, completely baffled as he stared blankly at Su Luo. His eyes were wide open, struggling to process what he was seeing. He had been constantly warned that this was the door with the most stringent qualifications, constantly warned that no one could touch the door of room number 13, but what he was seeing right now had shattered his common sense. Could it be that all of the gravity chamber rooms in the front could also be opened? All of a sudden, a wild burst of happiness surged through Lan Yin as he flew straight forwards. Chapter 2191. Speedily leveled up, 2. Room number 10, swipe. But he couldn't swipe it open. Room number 11, couldn't swipe it open. Room number 12, still couldn't swipe it open. In front of him was room number 13. Su Luo, seeing his crazed appearance, kindly stepped to the side. Lan Yin felt the impulse to charge inside immediately, but then he subconsciously halted. No! On the 10th, 11th, and 12th rooms, he couldn't swipe any of them open. This meant that the level settings were not broken. It was truly like this. As for Su Luo, Lan Yin's gaze landed on Su Luo's hand, and he clearly saw the sparkling diamond token in her hand. Diamond token? Could it be that what you have here is real? Lan Yin swallowed hard. Su Luo shrugged. Do you want to go in? Lan Yin subconsciously took a step back. How could he have the courage to go inside? With his identity, walking in there was equivalent to death, right? Lan Yin fiercely glared at Su Luo, full of anger and ferocity. But in it was also a kind of undefined depth. If you aren't going in, then I will enter instead. Su Luo went inside swiftly, slamming the door behind her. Bang! A heavy sound echoed out. The door to the gravity chamber room was closed, and Lan Yin's nose was nearly knocked crooked. Lan Yin was at a loss for words, standing there as stiff as a piece of wood. He still hadn't come back to his senses. Diamond token. Diamond token. There had been rumors a while back that there was a little girl who had been personally sent to Purgatory City by the city lord himself with a diamond token in her hand, but Fairy Wuyu had absolutely denied this. She said that this was an extremely preposterous matter. But at this very moment, that exact matter was clear and without question, right in front of him. Su Luo really had a diamond token in her possession, and the diamond token was real. Lan Yin's complexion went pale with fright, and his entire body shook uncontrollably. Su Luo's identity was truly terrifying. If Lan Yin had known about Su Luo's identity earlier, how would he have the courage to arrange a life and death battle with her? A life and death battle wouldn't end until one of them died. However, if he killed Su Luo now, wouldn't the city lord be furious? If he didn't kill Su Luo, then what about his own life? At this moment, Lan Yin was really at his wits' end. What should I do? Lan Yin was dumbfounded, his mind at a complete loss. No! Something suddenly flashed through Lan Yin's mind. Su Luo's diamond token. Was it really real? If it was real, then how is it possible that nobody notified them? Since nobody notified them, could it be that Su Luo had coincidentally found the diamond token and then purposefully spread rumors that she was the girl that the city lord had personally sent? Lan Yin was thrilled about his own discovery. He immediately took out his communication amulet to contact his grandmaster. His grandmaster was the 8th elder. Diamond token? Nonsense. 8th elder waved his hand, saying, "Did she herself say that it was the city lord who brought her here?" "That she didn't," Lan Yin said honestly. "Did she herself also say that this diamond token was given to her by the city lord?" "Also, she didn't." Lan Yin thought for a bit and said, "If the city lord really sent someone here, there's no chance that he wouldn't discuss this with us old men. Since that girl didn't admit to this, then it means that this diamond token was not given to her by the city lord," the 8th elder concluded. "Because everyone already knew if Su Luo was really being backed by the city lord, then wouldn't the 10 elders be protecting her as if they were protecting their eyes? How could they allow her to be involved in dangerous situations everywhere? Therefore, that diamond token had to be fake. But Grandmaster, she can open room number 13. Lan Yin tightened his fist. "Room number 13, the 8th elder said in a very long and melancholy tone. That year the city lord once said, the fated person will be able to open room number 13 in the gravity chamber. I'm afraid maybe that girl and the city lord's fate are connected." Chapter 2192. Speedily leveled up 3. So then, Grandmaster, if I killed that girl, would the city lord? Lan Yin was most afraid of this. The 8th elder laughed and said with certainty, "Don't worry, the city lord doesn't care about this place. Furthermore, the rules for life or death duels were set by the city lord himself. Back then, he even said that no one needs to hold back in a battle royale, even if they were to face his child. The eighth elder paused slightly before smiling and shaking his head. It is uncertain whether the city lord has a child himself, but with these words, there's no need to be worried. You just have to do your best at the life or death stage. Good. It was only at this moment that Lan Yin's heart could finally rest. After ridding himself of his apprehensions, Lan Yin sighed a breath of relief, though yet another bout of troubles appeared. Su Luo had entered room number 13. The increase in gravity for his room was only 50 times compared to the 130 times present in room number 13 that Su Luo had entered. Just thinking about the current differences in circumstances maddened Lan Yin to the degree of wanting to crumble apart. Can I still beat her a month from now? That little girl grew up in such harsh conditions present in the outer world. Yet she reached the 7-star commander rank at such a young age. With potential like that, Lan Yin grew increasingly worried as more and more of these thoughts appeared in his head. Lan Yin knew that in his current state of mind, he could not concentrate on his cultivation if he entered room number 5 right now. In fact, he would suffer a backlash if he persisted. Hence, he grabbed a hold of his master, who was currently using his communication amulet. After stroking his long beard for a while, the 8th elder said to Lan Yin, "What are you worrying about right now? So, what if she can enter room number 13? How long could she even stay in there?" "What do you mean?" Lan Yin felt a sense of hope rising in his heart. "Wait and see. Within 7 days, she will be forced back to room number 4. Despite his sniggering, the 8th elder spoke out in an exceedingly firm tone. There were people who had entered room number 13 these few years, but no one could persist longer than 7 days. Good. After hearing his grandmaster say that, Lan Yin was immediately filled with confidence. It would only be 7 days. That amount of cultivation time was very limited. Although she might be happy and proud right now, she still wouldn't be my opponent when she comes out. However, Lan Yin had already developed a great fear of Su Luo. He steeled himself. During the life and death battle, I must know, had to definitely kill Su Luo. Filled with confidence, Lan Yin entered room number 5 and started to cultivate. On the other side of the communication amulet, the 8th elder half closed his eyes, while sparkles of brilliance flashed across within. Gravity room number 13. Right when Su Luo entered, her first reaction was, what a great concentration of spiritual energy. The spiritual energy in this room was so dense that Su Luo was so elated. She wanted to scream and shout out loud. What she desired from this room wasn't only the increased cultivation of speed and gravity, but the most important aspect, which was this condensed and pure spiritual energy that would make people's hearts palpitate with excitement. She believed that none of the gravity rooms outside of here could rival the dense and pure spiritual energy present within room number 13. Instead of rushing impatiently into her cultivation practice, Su Luo proceeded to observe her surroundings. It was true that this gravity room was made to be worthy of the city lord. It was huge, being bigger than 10 football fields combined. Her surroundings were foggy, just like an overcast day, minimizing her visibility. The surrounding walls were made from a material that Su Luo had never seen before. It had a silvery white color, appearing to be some kind of mysterious alloy. It had a strange, abstruse feeling to it. Chapter 2193. Speedily leveled up for Bang. After punching it, Su Luo was surprised that her punch didn't leave one slightest trace on the wall, showing how strong it was. Walking along the wall, Su Luo spotted 2 control levers. Time. Gravity. Time from level 1 to 130. Gravity was also from 1 to 130. Su Luo pulled the time lever all the way up to the maximum, level 130. As for gravity, Su Luo didn't push it too far. After all, she was scared that she would completely be crushed in less than a second if she pulled the lever all the way to level 130. Therefore, she slowly and carefully pushed that lever up. Level 1, Level 2, Level 3, Level 5. Level 7. Dong. An invisible source of pressure surrounded Su Luo's body. Su Luo could feel that invisible source of pressure hitting her like the tsunami, pressing down on her like a tidal wave, and with so much pressure that she felt somewhat stifled for air. However, Su Luo's hand didn't stop there, as this was still far from her limits. Level 10. Level 12. Level 15. Dong. Upon reaching this level, Su Luo could only feel a sharp and intense ring in her ears, before her vision turned black, while she was barely holding back from spurting blood out from her mouth. With much difficulty, Su Luo forced the blood pooled in her mouth back down. Lowering her head, she discovered that her pair of legs were now trembling vigorously. Plop plop. Unable to endure it anymore, Su Luo's legs gave way, causing her to kneel down on the ground. At this moment, she was finally able to hear the vivid beats of her heart pounding away. Thump thump, thump thump, sounding just like the pounding beats of a war drum. In fact, she could even feel the blood gushing around her body, akin to a frenzied tidal wave. Using her hand to wipe her forehead, a bitter smile appeared on Su Luo's face. Covering her forehead were layers and layers of sweat, condensing into beads. Just a casual wipe from her hand made her palm appear drenched, as though it had been pulled out from a river. It had been a while since the last time she had experienced such a stifling feeling. Su Luo wasn't scared of this feeling. On the contrary, she was excited. So excited that she wanted to look up into the sky and scream it all out. That was because there was a sound pounding in her heart, telling her that if she was going to cultivate under this pressure, her strength would improve by leaps and bounds. Su Luo straightened her back and braced herself with both arms. Despite her trembling legs, she still forced herself to stand back up. Level 15 was still within her limits. Only by breaking her limits, she would improve at the fastest rate. Su Luo staggered forwards 2 steps towards the handle and pushed it up once again. Level 16. Level 17. Puff. A jet of dark red blood spurted out from the corner of Su Luo's mouth, its red color being so striking it would shock anyone who sees it. Nevertheless, Su Luo wiped it away with her hand, before continuing to push the lever up. Level 18. Level 19. Level 20. When the lever stopped at level 20, dong, Su Luo felt a stretch of blackness appear before her eyes, her head turning completely blank, and a droning noise ringing in her ears. The pressure was so great that her internal organs were all squished together, almost to the point of rupturing. Her skin, originally white as jade, was now pocketed with red dots, as blood was being forced out of her blood vessels, which were bursting from the pressure. Her face had turned from flush to ashen green, before returning into an exceedingly pale shade. At this moment, Su Luo knew she reached her physical limits. If she continued any further, she would be crushed into pulp by the pressure. Gasp! Su Luo took a big, difficult breath, then sat down with her leg crossed, before quickly entering into a cultivation state. Su Luo could feel that her veins, blood vessels, skin, even her visceral organs were all being subjected to an immense level of pressure, all while fighting and breaking through their limits. Chapter 2194. Speedily leveled up 5. Feeling the uncomfortable stickiness of her clothes, Su Luo took off her skirt, leaving only a thin layer of fabric. As time passed, Su Luo gritted her teeth and continued to practice. If anyone looked closely, they would find that she was trembling as her body persevered through the suffering. There was a pure spiritual strength surrounding her, protecting her like a protective film. Such a comfortable feeling. Su Luo let out a soft groan. Sure enough, under such heavy pressure, my strength will increase much faster. I hadn't expected to be promoted to an 8-star commander rank this quickly. It had only been 2 days. Su Luo was very satisfied with the speed of her progress. Day by day, time passed by. 3 days passed. 7 days passed. Gravity Chamber Room Number 5. Although Lan Yin had been cultivating, his attention had not been fully placed on his cultivation, Instead, he had divided 3 strands of his attention to look out outside of the chamber room. As long as Su Luo passed by, he would be able to feel her presence. But even after 3 days had passed, Su Luo was still persisting. After the 7th day passed, Su Luo's footsteps still hadn't passed by. Lan Yingyan gritted his teeth and waited until the 8th day. However, what made him feel troubled was that he still hadn't sensed Su Luo returning to the gravity chamber number 4. Lan Yingyan's heart was like an ant in a hot pot, tossing in anxiousness. And because of this, his cultivation speed was greatly slowed down. Contrary to Lan Yingyan, Su Luo's cultivation speed was increasing crazily. After all, 1 day outside was equivalent to 130 days inside. Furthermore, it was under such heavy pressure. Su Luo's progress could be described as traveling 1,000 miles in a single day. On the 7th day, just as Lan Yingyan's heart was filled with endless despair, a small sound echoed past, and Su Luo suddenly felt refreshed. This meant that she had been promoted to an 8-star commander rank. The corners of Su Luo's mouth raised into a faint smile, and she took out from her space an emperor pill that had been given to her by her master, a look of regret flashing past her eyes. Master had given her a great deal of emperor pills, but she had used many of them, so now she didn't have many pills left. Next time I see Master, I must beg for more. Su Luo threw a body-strengthening pill into her mouth, and after she had adequately supplemented her physical strength, she began to cultivate again. Her strength was constantly improving, but her physical strength was somewhat unable to keep up. If she didn't take this pill, Su Luo's body would collapse. The effects of the Emperor body-strengthening pill were very good. After taking 1 pill, Su Luo's physical strength had increased significantly. Su Luo slowly closed her eyes, and her mind entered into a state of cultivation. She took a little flame from the body of the little red lotus and absorbed it into her abdomen. Because the fallen red lotus had always been in an external state, it had been growing on its own and had not integrated with Su Luo. Su Luo's fire attribute was still the ordinary flame she had had from the beginning, which for her circumstances was very dangerous. Therefore, while she was being promoted, the most urgent matter would be to replace her original fire with the flames of the fallen red lotus. Under the control of her mind, Su Luo felt the faint flame burning in her abdomen. Then it began to spin faster and faster until it spun at a high speed. Chapter 2195. Speedily leveled up 6. This chapter is updated by Novelfree. ML at that moment, Su Luo had her full attention in the control of the wild fallen red lotus flame, stretching it thinly before pushing it into the pathways of her meridian. As long as all of Su Luo's meridian pathways fused with the fallen red lotus flame, her original ordinary flame would be replaced by the fallen red lotus. This way, in the future, when she used her fire attribute, the powerful fallen red lotus would appear. This way, no one would be able to snatch the fallen red lotus away from her, because by then, she would be the fallen red lotus, and the fallen red lotus would be her. To start, Su Luo chose the thickest meridian. Su Luo wrapped spiritual energy around the fallen red lotus flame that had been compressed into filaments and made it enter slowly into that strong meridian. Yet just when it had entered a little bit, her body started trembling. It was so painful. The unexpected pain instantly swept through Su Luo's entire body. The thin layer of sweat covering Su Luo's forehead became large beads under the heavy pressure and started rolling down like pearls, falling to the ground with crackling sounds, like rain hitting the beach. This kind of pain reminded Su Luo of the heart-wrenching pain she had felt when her master forced her to train her body inside the cauldron. Compared to that time, the pain now was much worse. In retrospect, the level of pain at that time was just an itch. Su Lu gritted her teeth and bit her lower lip so hard that it was dripping blood. Her entire body trembled uncontrollably. Then, she had a moment of dizziness. Her sight started to fade away, and her complexion was distorted into a hideous look. If she were outside, the pain would not be so severe. But she was inside the gravity chamber, under 30 times the pressure, so the pain was also multiplied accordingly. Under this intense pain, Su Luo took sharp, deep breaths over and over in order to prevent herself from fainting. Su Luo felt that her entire body was bleeding. Not only her facial features, but the skin, as well as the internal organs that couldn't be seen by the naked eye. While Su Luo gritted her teeth to endure, she opened a white porcelain bottle with trembling fingertips. These were the Emperor coagulation pills, of which only a few remained. Throwing the Emperor coagulation pills in her mouth, Su Luo swallowed it in one gulp. She felt as if her bones were being scraped, and though she could bear with that pain, if she lost too much blood, she would become a bled-out and dried corpse. The Emperor coagulation pills were indeed top-grade pills that everyone on the continent prayed for. As soon as the pills passed through her mouth, Su Luo felt a faint warmth flowing through her 8 chi meridians. The flow of the blood from the broken internal organs was quickly blocked off. After repairing her internal organs, Su Luo gave herself a simple order. Keep going. Su Luo's spiritual energy enveloped the thin, fallen red lotus and began to enter her meridians again. The human body had a total of 12 regular meridians and 8 chi meridians. What Su Luo wanted to do was to push the fallen red lotus back and forth through all of them. Only by fusing with these meridians could the ordinary original flame be replaced. What Su Luo was entering right now was the hand tying of the lung meridian. After suffering once before, Su Luo slowly figured out some ideas. Su Luo first infiltrated the hand tying of the lung meridian with high-grade celestial spirit water. After it was completely absorbed, she wrapped the fallen red lotus flame with spiritual energy and slowly pressed it into the meridian. Chapter 2196. Speedily Leveled Up 7. This chapter is updated by Novel Free. ML Su Luo felt like her meridians were being scorched, and her entire body dripped sweat. Although this method was troublesome, it was also effective. Compared to before, the pain had been reduced a lot. Su Luo's stiff and tense body began to gradually relax. Her distorted facial features returned to their original position, and her entire body returned to its normal state. As the pain eased out, the fallen red lotus that had been shaped into filaments gradually penetrated Su Luo's hand tying of the lung meridian, and it had gone up to 1/5 of the way. Under Su Luo's methodical advances, the meridians in her body were slowly soaked and merged with the fallen red lotus. Su Luo was cautious and didn't relax at all, because right now she couldn't afford to make a single mistake. Once she made a mistake, it could never be reversed. After passing through the hand tying of the lung meridian, Su Luo felt a sudden shock all over her body. Su Luo had just entered the 8-star commander rank, but what made her feel amazing was that she felt that her strength had greatly improved again. At this moment, Su Luo just wanted to relax, lie down on the ground, and take a good nap. But she knew that she could not. The instant she relaxed, it would be difficult to reach the current state again. Su Luo looked towards her arm. Then, without hesitation, she increased the pressure by another 5 times again. Boom! Su Luo felt all the energy and blood in her body rushing to her head. Her face flushed red, so red it seemed to drip blood. Good, very good, Su Luo whispered in her heart. True strength was always tempered in this way. She had taken too many shortcuts before, and now she had the increased need to perfect herself through real exertion of her body. After the falling red lotus flame passed through the hand tying of the lung meridian, it began to pass through the hand yongming of the large intestine meridian, and then the foot yongming of the stomach meridian. As the days passed, Su Luo kept merging with the flames of the fallen red lotus. Although her strength rose quickly, in order to be able to focus on merging the fallen red lotus flame, Su Luo was suppressed from breaking through. Meanwhile, in room number 5, Lan Yingyan was in a state of anxiety. He was able to sense the situation outside since he had partly placed his attention on what was happening there. He discovered that from beginning to end, Su Luo's footsteps had never sounded outside, which meant She had stayed in room number 13 and had never come out. This discovery made Lan Yin's entire self feel uncomfortable. He couldn't practice at all anymore, and wandered around room number 5 plunged into an anxious restlessness. He calculated the time. 20 days had already passed. One day in Su Luo's room number 13 gravity chamber was equal to 130 days. 20 days, that was 2,600 days, darn. With Su Luo, that vile wench's talent, what rank would she have been promoted to by now? She wouldn't have been promoted by 2-star ranks in a row? Would she? Maybe it would be even more. But even if she was promoted by 2 more stars, it wouldn't matter. She would only be in 9-star commander rank, unless she jumped directly to the saint rank. Suddenly, Lan Yin's mind flashed brightly. He had been worried about Su Luo's rapid promotion, but he had forgotten one of the most important possibilities. She hadn't come out for 20 days in a row, so maybe she was already dead inside. Chapter 2197. Speedily Leveled Up. 8. This chapter is updated by Novel Free. ML, could it be that Su Luo was unable to come out because she really died inside? After all, Master said that no one had lasted more than 7 days after entering that room. The more Lan Yin thought about it, the greater seemed the possibility of his guess being right. As more of such thoughts filled his mind, the amount of joy in his heart continued to increase, until it burst out in a delighted bout of happy laughter. Good, very good. After 30 days, if she didn't come out again, it would mean that she had died. That would lead to my victory without even having to fight. Ha ha. Delighted with this sequence of thoughts, Lan Yin found it difficult to resume his cultivation training with the overwhelming mess he currently had on his mind. In the days that followed, Lan Yin became more certain about his guess. That was because he discovered that Su Luo had never stepped out of the training room number 13. As for what Su Luo was experiencing at this moment, she was gritting her teeth hard as her entire body was rocked by trembles. Looking carefully, anyone would find that the gravity lever on the wall had risen to 100 times. Under 100 times the normal gravity, the painful look on Su Luo was being distorted. Nevertheless, she still continued to resist against this overwhelming pressure. By now, she had already merged most of the fallen red lotus flame, starting from the hand tying of the lung meridian, followed by hand yongming of the large intestine meridian, foot yongming of the stomach meridian, foot tying of spleen meridian, hand showing of the heart meridian. Under Su Luo's control, the fallen red lotus flame had already circulated through all of her 12 main meridians. For thousands of days and nights, Su Luo was immersed in this intense pain without a single moment of respite. What kind of painful path was this? It was utterly unimaginable to others, but Su Luo still chose to do it. Not only that, she persisted in doing so. After finishing the 12 main meridians, Su Luo controlled the fallen red lotus flame to circulate through her 8 qi meridians. Du meridian, Ren meridian, Chong meridian, Dai meridian. At this moment, Su Luo was already on the 5th, Enwei meridian. The Enwei meridian started from the lower jaw, passed through the right chest, continued down through the right leg, and went all the way to the inner calf to 3 Yin Jiao on the inner foot. This meridian is very long. So long, in fact, that it would send people spiraling into despair. Nevertheless, Su Luo gritted her teeth, and with a fierce pull of her hand, the heavy pressure went up by a full 10 times. 110 times the pressure. Su Luo breathed with heavy gasps, seemingly to relieve herself from the pain, but to no avail. The pain she was suffering was still there. If someone close to Su Luo were to see her in her current state, tears would roll down instantly from their face. That was because the weak and fragile Su Luo would truly break everyone's hearts. Su Luo seemed to be unaware of this as she had immersed herself in her cultivation training. At this moment, Lan Yin was no longer her goal. On the contrary, her goal was Fairy Wu Yu, the one who stood high and regarded her like an ant. Since senior brother Luo used himself as a bet, she couldn't let down his kindness and let him lose. Thus, even if she were to die, she must trample Fairy Wu Yu under her feet. Time went by. Today came to the last day. Lan Yin's heart was like a boiling pot of chaos that could not be contained. Unable to stay put any longer, he ran out to guard the door of room number 13, as he wanted to see if Su Luo could get out of there alive today. At this instance, inside room number 13, there was a suffocating pressure in the whole room, because Su Luo actually lifted the gravity handle up to the highest scale, 130 times. Su Luo now was experiencing 130 times the normal gravity. She huffed and puffed as she gasped heavily for air, causing her breaths to be short and sharp. Chapter 2198. Stunning the whole audience. 1. This chapter is updated by Novel Free. ML. A big, brilliant smile bloomed on Su Luo's face, as gorgeous as a summer flower. Because, under the pressure of 130 times, she had finally completed the fusion of the fallen red lotus flame in her last meridian, the Yang Xiao Mai. This also meant that she had finally integrated the fallen red lotus deeply within her body, and the powerful cluster of fallen red lotus flame had replaced her original ordinary flame. At the same time, Su Luo felt a tremor all over her body. A sound rang out. The aura that Su Luo had been suppressing from the start burst out at that moment. 8-star commander rank, 9-star commander rank, 10-star commander rank, saint rank, 1-star saint rank. Su Luo actually broke through 5 consecutive stars, reaching the 1-star saint rank in one fell swoop. This was near impossible across the entire continent, even in the genius training camp. The smile at the corner of Su Luo's mouth had not yet disappeared, because there was another clear sound. 2-star saint rank. Su Luo had actually been again promoted to the 2-star saint rank. Such a speed of cultivation made people admire, made people collapse, and even more, it made people desperate. Inside room number 13, Su Luo had spent the equivalent to 4,000 days of cultivation. But to the outside world, it had only been a month. In just a month's time, Su Luo had been promoted so quickly. Su Luo herself was also stunned by the speed of her promotion, and it took a long time for her to come back to her senses, after which she smiled foolishly. Cling, a sharp chirp rang out. Su Luo knew that her time was up. She had pre-stored 30 days' worth of points before, and now that the time was up, this gravity chamber had activated an alarm. Su Luo smiled, and after cleaning herself up a bit, she opened the door with a clear, refreshed mind. Click! The door opened. Lan Yin, outside the door, was stunned. When he saw a dry and fresh Su Luo, his eyes looked as if he had seen a ghost. He was so scared that he kept backing away. How are you still alive? Lan Yin's emotions were so strong that there was a tremor in his voice. Su Luo faintly squinted at him. Could it be you thought I was dead? Lan Yin didn't know what to say for a while. Hadn't he thought that Su Luo was already dead? Now she was walking out in one piece. Don't mention being dead. There was no trace of injury on her body. As Lan Yin looked at Su Luo, his eyes suddenly lit up. Then his trembling fingers pointed at Su Luo, as if he were convulsing. His throat felt like it was being choked by a powerful hand, and he could not speak for a long time. Su Luo stood in front of him and shrugged indifferently. Do I look like a ghost? Why are you so scared? You cough, cough, cough. Lan Yin choked on his own saliva. He stopped for a long time, pointing at Su Luo, and gasped out, 2-star saint rank. How is this possible? Clearly, when she entered, this wench had only been at the 7-star commander rank. She was only a 7-star commander rank. Lan Yin felt that either the world, or he was crazy, because he had actually seen that Su Luo had reached the 2-star saint rank. That was a difference of 6 whole stars. Just try to ask who could be promoted by 6 stars in 1 month. Even the city lord couldn't. At this moment, aside from trembling all over, Lan Yin really didn't know what to do. Su Luo crossed her arms. She glanced at him and said unhurriedly, Why? Are you afraid? Chapter 2199. Stunning the whole audience. 2. After spending 10 million points, Su Luo had been promoted by 6 stars, but Lan Yin had also spent 10 million points. Not only had he not even been promoted by a 1-star rank, he had almost gone crazy and fallen into the deep end because of his restlessness. At that moment, Lan Yin really wanted to cry. You can't be crying out of fear? Su Luo half squinted her eyes, and a sneer appeared at the corner of her mouth. In a battle of life and death, even if he were to admit defeat, it would still be a suicidal end for him. Lan Yin took a deep breath, suppressing his anger. Who said I was afraid? Aren't you afraid? Then, do you dare go to the life and death battle arena right now? Su Luo looked at him with a smile. Lan Yin coldly snorted. Although you have been promoted very quickly this time, don't forget that I am a full 2 stars higher than you. And the further on you get, the slower the promotion becomes. Su Luo deliberately clutched at her chest. Oh, I'm so scared. You are 2 stars higher than I am. Whatever shall I do? The ridicule in Su Luo's words was extremely blatant. Back when they were in the magical beast zone, Lan Yin was 7 stars higher than Su Luo. And what was the result? Didn't he flee in embarrassment after being beaten by Su Luo? Don't be cocky. You used a trick back then. Lan Yin glared at Su Luo furiously. If you have the ability, then you should have also used tricks. If you don't have the ability, don't yell nonsense. Did anyone say that you can't use tricks? What do you have a head for? Decoration? Su Luo hummed angrily. Lan Yin instantly became so angry that he didn't know what to say. Although Su Luo's words were provoking, they made sense. One can blame themselves for not being smart and cautious, but one can't blame others for using tricks. Since it is a matter of life and death, would you still inform the other party of your moves in advance and say, hey, you have to be careful. I'm going to use poison? The more Lan Yin thought about it, the more stupid he felt. Hey, why are you standing there like an idiot? If you don't have the guts, who says I don't have guts? If you dare to come, I'll see you in the life and death battle arena in 2 hours. Su Luo said curtly. Fine. Lan Yin glared at Su Luo bitterly, then dashed out. The life and death battle arranged by Su Luo and Lan Yin had been made public, and so many people knew about it, but not many people would watch it because the people on the dragon list were very busy. But once Su Luo stepped out, that might not be the case. Lan Yin came out first. After he exited, he immediately ran into a few people outside. Because Lan Yin had paid 10 million points, they knew that he would come out after a month. But when they saw Lan Yin, everyone was shocked. What happened? Didn't you enter the gravity chamber? How come you were a 4-star saint rank when you entered, and are still a 4-star saint rank now that you've come out? Was there no progress? And his demeanor looks so bad, perhaps his strength may have even decreased. That was an entire 10 million points. Isn't that such a waste? Wouldn't he piss Fairy Wu you off? It's okay. It's okay. Su Luo is said to only be a 7-star commander rank. Even though Lan Yin didn't break through, he can still properly defeat her. Speaking of this, do we even have any 7-star commander ranks here? Even the gatekeepers don't have this little strength. I do hope that Lan Yin ends her quickly, or else she'll lower our average level. That you're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.